Chapter 152. After she finished speaking, she realized her mistake and immediately corrected herself. What I meant was, how could you make such wild guesses? No one told me to do so, and I'm telling the truth. Oh, the truth? What kind of truth? Are you feeling unwell? Are you dizzy? Yes, it might be a complication after the surgery. After all, you're not a professional doctor, you're just a nurse. You used my life and my child's as an experiment. That's really despicable. Ms. Yuanfinfin, right? Medical equipment is very advanced these days. If you say that you're dizzy and have complications, we need to do a detailed examination for you. It's just like how many murderers insist that they're mentally ill after they kill someone. You can't just listen to one side of the story, you need evidence. After hearing what Huamin said, the pregnant woman fell silent. I know you're not that kind of person. As the patient involved, you should know what happened that night. You were bleeding profusely and desperately needed a blood transfusion. However, no one could operate on you at that time. Your husband knelt on the ground and begged for help. As a nurse on duty, I absolutely couldn't allow a patient to die in front of my eyes. The reason why I dared to operate on you was because I trusted my own skills. I also knew that if I did what I did at that time, there would definitely be a day like this in the future. I just didn't expect that as the patient involved, you would be so muddle-headed. I won't ask you to thank me, but I also don't want you to wrong me, understand? Do you understand? The pregnant woman seemed to be moved by Huamin's words. It was obvious that she was very conflicted. Huamin continued, I know that it's not easy for you as a woman. This is your second child, right? But your husband was very unhappy that you gave birth to a girl. Your in-laws didn't show up at the hospital either. The pregnant woman raised her head in surprise. She didn't know why Huamin's analysis was so accurate. I don't know much about your family, but from what your brother said, he kept talking about compensation. He must be using this incident to get a lot of money. I don't think your husband would do something like this alone. I heard that you guys even hired a lawyer. So I want to ask, who instigated this behind the scenes? The pregnant woman stared at Huamin, dumbfounded. It was as if every word Huamin said touched her heart. No one instigated it. It's not like what you said. Ms. Yuanfinfin, you have to have a conscience. I don't want to say anything excessive. I just want to tell you that God is watching over you. I really don't want anything in return for saving you and your child. But now you're making a false accusation against me and my hospital. So, I think you should stop before you go too far. If you want tens of thousands of yuan in compensation, and you really need the money, I can pay you personally, but don't discredit the hospital. Our director is a very respectable old man. I don't want to cause trouble for him because of my personal heroism. Is that okay? Huamin knew that this family just wanted money. If he had to, he would have to fork out tens of thousands of yuan to settle this matter. But if it really blew up and escalated to the hospital's image, it wouldn't be good. He would feel very guilty. The pregnant woman seemed to be a little shaken. Her eyes flashed as she said, I don't want to do this, but Before she could finish her sentence, she heard the door suddenly open. Then, her husband suddenly appeared at the door and yelled at Huamin, What are you doing here? Are you here to threaten my wife? You heartless nurse, I will sue you in your hospital. You want to get rid of us with just tens of thousands of yuan? In your dreams. Even the lawyer said that this time, if your hospital doesn't fork out a few million yuan, don't even think about stopping. That night, when you knelt down and begged me to save your child, this wasn't your attitude. Huamin looked coldly at the pregnant woman's husband. Chapter 153. The man seemed a little embarrassed as he scolded, Don't talk to me about these useless things. Anyway, get out of here and don't threaten my wife. My wife is suffering from serious complications right now. None of you can escape responsibility. So, you want to make a big deal out of this? Do you have to extort millions of dollars from us? Huamin asked coldly. Yes, we want the whole city to know about this. Okay, just don't regret it. Of course we won't regret it. Don't think that threatening us will work. We're not afraid of you. You're just a nurse who hasn't even finished her internship. I'll fight you to the death. Okay, I'll wait for you to fight me to the death. Huamin pursed her lips and turned to leave. As soon as she left, the man grabbed the pregnant woman from the bed and slapped her across the face. Are you fucking asshole? That woman is here. How can you talk nonsense? Aren't you afraid that she'll bring a recording pen? If all our plans go down the drain and I can't get the money, I'll fucking strangle you. The pregnant woman's husband had an ugly expression on his face. Honey, let's just forget about it. I don't want to continue like this. I feel very uneasy. She's a good person. She saved me and our daughter. She's our savior. We shouldn't treat her like this, the pregnant woman said as she sobbed. After hearing this, the man was not moved at all. Instead, he pointed at the pregnant woman and scolded, I'm telling you, don't ruin my business. Since things have already started, we will continue to do it. The hospital will definitely compensate us. When that time comes, we will be rich, do you understand? We'll be able to live the rest of our lives without any worries. But this kind of money shouldn't belong to us. The pregnant woman still wanted to argue. I should have killed you, a hen that can't give birth to a boy. You disgust me. Let me tell you, you have to listen to me. If you don't cooperate, I won't come back to this house. I'll divorce you. There are plenty of women out there, and there are even more who are willing to give birth to a son for me. When the time comes, you can take these two losers and go back to your mother's house. Upon hearing that they were going to get a divorce, the woman's eyes immediately filled with fear. Ever since she had married into this family, she had never thought of getting a divorce. After all, it was too difficult for a woman. All these years, she had been doing the housework, while her husband had been working a part-time job. The salary was not high, and the family had been living a tight life. The man and his parents had a traditional mindset of valuing sons over daughters. She had been very unhappy with her first child because she had not given birth to a son. It wasn't easy for her to get pregnant with her second child. When she did the ultrasound, it said that it was a boy. She didn't expect that it would be another money-losing thing. The man was furious. If it weren't for his plan to blackmail the hospital and Huamin, he wouldn't have shown up. If he had known that his wife had given birth to another girl, he wouldn't have knelt down and begged the nurse to save her that night. Therefore, the man's heart was extremely unbalanced. After some expert gave him advice, he immediately felt that this was a good idea. Therefore, they mobilized the relatives of both parties and came to the hospital to make a scene in order to ask for sky-high compensation. How did it go? The head nurse asked with concern when she saw Huamin walk out. Huamin shook his head. They are very determined. They want the hospital to pay. Don't worry too much. Everything will be resolved when President Wu comes back. The head nurse comforted him. Huamin nodded. After he said goodbye to the head nurse, he headed towards the laboratory. The OB/GYN department had been unusually quiet lately. Apparently, Wu Xiaoxue was on vacation and had not come to work for a few days. It seemed like she was extremely unhappy with her previous punishment. However, President Wu had also announced that he would be leaving. If she didn't want to work, she could resign. The uncle and niece were not on good terms. Ning Ziyuan was also cold towards her because of Huamin's rejection. Not long after Huamin returned to the laboratory, it was time to get off work. Chief Han walked over and said softly, Huamin, you can leave through the back door after work. What's wrong? Huamin looked at Chief Han quizzically. Chapter 154. When I went out just now, I saw those unreasonable family members blocking the entrance. If they saw you, they would probably do something impulsive. I think it's safer for you to leave through the back door. Huamin nodded. Okay then, I'll leave through the back door. Thank you, Chief Han. No need to thank me. Don't get too worked up. The director won't sit back and do nothing. They won't get anything out of this mess. Okay. Huamin packed up and left the hospital through the back door with Huang Yu. Luckily, Chief Han had the foresight to leave through the back door. It was indeed much quieter. Huamin was depressed. After 10 minutes of walking, she returned to her home at Imperial Park. Since it was still early, there was no one at home. It seemed like Qin Chu hadn't returned yet. Huamin put down her bag and sat on the sofa tiredly. She closed her eyes and rested for a while. Then, she suddenly remembered something. She took out her phone and called Zhu Lingling. However, her phone was turned off. She nervously logged into WeChat. As soon as she logged in, she saw Zhu Lingling's message. Girl, I'm going to work. I'm flying south today. Don't worry. Seeing that Zhu Lingling was at work, Huamin felt a lot more relieved. Huamin felt a headache coming on as she thought about what happened at the hospital today. She was so lost in her thoughts that she actually forgot to make dinner. She didn't come back to her senses until Qin Chu came home and she heard the door open. "You're back? I'll go make dinner." Huamin got up and walked to the kitchen as she spoke. When she walked past Qin Chu, he grabbed her hand. "You don't look well." "Oh, maybe it's because I was a little busy today. I'm tired," Huamin said half-heartedly. "Then don't make dinner. Let's go out and eat. I don't have much of an appetite. Why don't you go alone?" "I'm not hungry either." "Then don't make dinner. Let's rest for a while." Before Huamin could say anything, Qin Chu pulled her to the side of the sofa and let her sit on the sofa. Then, Qin Chu took an apple from the fridge for Huamin, turned on the TV, and casually changed the channel. After that, Qin Chu took off his suit jacket and put it aside. Then, he took out his laptop and started working. Huamin was not in the mood to eat. He took the apple that Qin Chu stuffed in his mouth and watched the TV in boredom. Neither of them spoke. Qin Chu had been focusing on the company's financial statements and the stock market. Huamin quietly held an apple and stared at the TV. Just like that, time passed by quietly. Huamin occasionally turned his head and looked at Qin Chu's perfect side profile. His heart felt warm. She really liked and enjoyed this kind of company. However, she always felt a sense of crisis about this relationship. She always felt that they would not be able to grow old together. It was as if the tragedy 7 years ago had destined their relationship to carry too many burdens. Perhaps Qin Chu knew that Huamin was staring at him, so he suddenly turned his head and looked into Huamin's eyes. He asked, "Is the TV good? You'll know when you see it." Qin Chu looked up and suddenly felt embarrassed. It turned out that the TV show was actually Bunny Bears. "If you don't like it, you can change the channel," he said. "It's okay. I like it." After hearing Huamin's answer, Qin Chu was speechless again. "Fine, you really found it hard to believe that someone with an IQ of 130 would actually watch children's cartoons." Then, Qin Chu worked for about an hour before closing his laptop. Looking at Huamin, who looked a little haggard, he thought for a moment and asked, "Do you want to go on vacation with me?" "Vacation?" Huamin looked confused. Chapter 155. I have to go on a business trip to Taipei. My flight is tomorrow night. Do you want to come with me? Me? I don't think so. I have to go to work. As for leave, I'll be back in 2 or 3 days. No, I'm not in the mood. I can't have fun anywhere. Huamin shook her head and decided not to be a wet blanket. Things had just gotten out of control at the hospital. If she asked for leave and ran away, what would she do if those people went to the OB/GYN department to cause trouble, or if they went to Huangyu? She couldn't leave them with a mess to clean up. Okay. Seeing that Huamin wasn't willing, Qin Chu didn't force her. He looked down at his watch. It was almost 8 p.m. "Are you hungry? Do you want to eat something?" Huamin shook her head. Did something happen at the hospital? Qin Chu couldn't help but ask upon sensing Huamin's depression. "Nothing. Maybe I'm not used to being in a new department." Huamin didn't tell Qin Chu everything that happened at the hospital because she didn't want Qin Chu to worry about her. It was tiring enough for him to work at GK every day. "Okay then, go to bed early. I'm going to go organize some documents in the study." "Okay." Huamin went upstairs, took a shower, and then lay in bed. Suddenly, her phone rang. It was an unfamiliar number, and it rang for a while before Huamin picked it up. "Hello, are you Huamin?" A man's voice sounded from the other end, and Huamin thought it sounded familiar. "Yes, I am. Who are you?" "I'm Lin Mingyu." "Lin Mingyu?" Huamin was a bit confused, and she forgot who Lin Mingyu was. "I'm the forensic doctor who went on a blind date with you last time," he emphasized. "Oh, it's you." Huamin finally remembered this man. "What are you doing?" Lin Mingyu asked out of the blue. "I'm going to bed." "So early? I wanted to invite you out for a meal." Lin Mingyu was slightly disappointed. "No, thank you for your kindness." "Then what's your WeChat ID? Can I add you?" Lin Mingyu asked again. "I don't really use WeChat." Huamin rejected again. "I see. All right, let's meet again another day." Then he hung up. Huamin remembered that he had never given him his phone number. She probably got it from the head nurse. There were already a lot of things to do in the hospital. How could they still care about other people? The next morning, Chin Chu had already prepared bread and warm milk. However, he was nowhere to be seen. After Huo Min woke up, he took a simple bite and went to work. As soon as she arrived at the department, she was pulled aside by Huang Yu, who whispered, "Senior, our director is back." "Isn't the director out of town for a meeting?" Huo Min was confused. "Yeah, but he heard that something happened at the hospital, so he came back early. I heard that he will meet with the patient's family today to discuss how to deal with the situation." Hearing this, Huo Min felt a little guilty. If it weren't for her decision, the hospital and president wouldn't have been in so much trouble. At noon, when Huo Min and Huang Yu went to the cafeteria, they inevitably became the target of other colleagues at the hospital. Here, she also met an enemy, Wu Xiaoxue. "Egomaniac, look at what happened. The entire hospital is in an uproar because of you. My uncle's meeting out of town was canceled early because he had to clean up your mess." Wu Xiaoxue was sharp-tongued. She was furious when she saw Huo Min. "I'm very sorry about this," Huo Min said calmly. "What's the point of saying sorry now? You shouldn't have done it in the first place. I don't understand. You're a nurse who hasn't even completed your internship. Who gave you the guts to do this? Do you think the hospital is owned by your family?" Chapter 156. "Professor Wu, you can't say that. We were just anxious to save people," Huang Yu retorted. "Even if you were anxious to save people, you should know your place. Don't you know your own status? Isn't it because you, an unreliable doctor on duty, skipped work in the middle of the night? Otherwise, do you think we were willing to take the risk to save people?" Huang Yu was young and impulsive. She was not as calm as Huo Min, so she started to argue with Wu Xiaoxue. The key was that Huang Yu was now in the laboratory, so she was not afraid of Wu Xiaoxue making things difficult for her. "What do you mean by skipping work? I was not feeling well. I am pregnant. Do you know that? I'm a pregnant woman, and I have to be responsible for my own safety. I didn't do anything wrong, and the patient's family won't be able to find me. They can find whoever performed the surgery. You're so capable, so it's best for you to solve the problem you created. Don't hide behind the hospital like a coward and let my old uncle be your cannon fodder, okay?" Wu Xiaoxue mocked. "Don't worry. As long as it is my responsibility, I will not implicate the director. That's the best." After that, Wu Xiaoxue raised her head and walked past Huo Min arrogantly. "Damn, this woman is really good at finding excuses. She just got pregnant, and she said she was not feeling well. Skipping work is skipping work, and she is still looking for excuses. How can such an irresponsible person be a doctor? I really have to hand it to her. Since she is so delicate, she should just go home and rest. Why is she still working?" Huang Yu is furious. "Let her say whatever she wants. No matter what she says, I will not mind, because she is someone I don't care about." Huo Min was very clear about this. It was not worthwhile to be angry with someone like Wu Xiaoxue every day. Huo Min was restless the whole morning. He did not know how the director would deal with it. In fact, if the director fired him, he would not mind. After all, he was wrong. She was afraid that she would implicate the hospital because of her personal behavior. If the hospital really compensated her with a few million yuan, she would feel very guilty. "Director Han, is there any news? What should we do?" Huo Min kept asking the department head. "How will we know about this?" The director is in direct contact with the patient. In the afternoon, the head nurse made an internal call to Huo Min. After briefly explaining the outcome of the matter, the hospital director met with the patient and the patient's family. There was no agreement. The director meant that the patient's surgery was a success and there was no infection at all. It was wrong for Huo Min to operate on her own as a nurse, but she was also eager to save people. Therefore, the hospital decided to waive all the fees for the patient during the hospitalization period and give the patient 30,000 yuan as mental damage. Unexpectedly, the pregnant woman's husband exploded on the spot. Not only did he yell at the director, he even flipped over the table. It was impossible to dismiss them with just a few tens of thousands of yuan. It had to be at least 3 million yuan, not a cent less. In the end, the hospital director said, "Then let's go through legal procedures. You can sue, and we will find someone to verify whether the patient is really infected. Whether from a moral point of view or a medical point of view, We will accompany you to the end. As long as the court awards us compensation, we are willing to take it. In the end, both sides fell through. In the end, the head nurse comforted, the director has already consulted with our hospital's legal team. Even if we compensate, it won't be too much. The patient's family is obviously trying to blackmail us. We won't compromise. Don't worry. Head nurse, I'll resign. Tell the director to fire me. If the patient sues, let them sue me. I don't want to implicate the hospital, Huamin said calmly. As a century-old hospital, the first hospital had an excellent reputation and was deeply trusted by the local people. Huamin did not want everyone to know about this matter and ruin the hospital's reputation. Chapter 157. That won't happen. The dean will make the decision on this matter. I'm calling you to reassure you and not let your imagination run wild. Thank you, head nurse. All right, did my cousin call you? Last night, he anxiously asked for your phone number. I already told him that you have a boyfriend, but he didn't seem to care. He did, Huamin admitted. Then just treat him as a normal friend. Did that guy fall for someone? He used to be so arrogant. The head nurse sighed. Okay. After hanging up the phone, Huamin's emotions became even more complicated. It was understandable that the hospital director and the patient's family broke down. After all, the family's goal was very clear. They asked for a few million at once. The hospital didn't do anything wrong, so they wouldn't agree to pay so much money. Most importantly, Huamin performed a perfect surgery on the patient. He even found the best obstetrician in the country. They wouldn't think that it was a medical accident, and there wouldn't be any adverse reactions. The patient kept saying that she was dizzy, but she did it on purpose. Sometimes it was really a headache to reason with unreasonable people. Huamin, hearing someone call him, Huamin turned around. Chief Han, the hospital director just called and asked you and Huang Yu to avoid the patient's family for a few days. You can take a few days off and come back to work after this incident calms down a bit. Okay, Huamin nodded. Then, Huamin and Huang Yu began to pack their things. Cursing sounds came from not far away. The hospital security seemed to be in conflict with the patient's family again. They even alerted the 110. Huamin and Huang Yu left the hospital through the back door. Huamin didn't go home. Instead, he went to school to find his brother, Jing Jixin. At noon, Huamin and Jing Jixin found a quiet place in the university cafeteria and sat down. Sis, don't you have to go to work today? Jing Jixin saw his sister and was especially close to her. Yes, I haven't been too busy recently, so I took a few days off. Really, that's great. Jing Jixin never doubted his sister's words. Looking at his younger brother's innocent smile, Huamin felt relieved. It's Mom's birthday tomorrow, so you can go there earlier. Why don't you come home with me tonight? Huamin shook his head. No, Mom will be in a bad mood if I go back. Actually, that's not it. Mom misses you very much too. She just doesn't say it out loud. She actually has a sharp tongue, but a soft heart. For example, yesterday when I said that you would go back to her birthday party, she didn't say anything, but she seemed quite happy. Huamin smiled and said nothing. Sis, I have an idea. What thoughts? I want to sell milk tea with my classmates at school. The milk tea at school is disgusting and expensive. So many of my classmates go out to buy it. However, it's inconvenient, and it's a waste of time. I think I can sell it for cheap, and it tastes good. Then, I can make some money and pay for next year's tuition. I don't want you to work so hard to support my studies, Jing Jixin said in one breath. Huamin's heart suddenly ached. Jixin, it's not hard for me. I don't need money right now, so don't worry. You're still a student, so don't open a milk tea shop. Just study hard. When you're in your senior year, I plan to send you abroad for further studies. Oh no, it's too expensive abroad. You and Mom have worked hard to support me all these years. I'm a man, so I'll work and support the family after I graduate. I don't want to drag you guys down. That won't happen. Anyways, don't worry about money. I'll take care of it. It's Mom's birthday tomorrow. Have you thought about what to buy? Jing Jixin asked excitedly. Not yet. What about you? I used the pocket money you gave me to buy Mom a pair of leather shoes. Ha, look. Don't they look old-fashioned? Jing Jixin turned on his phone, opened a website, and showed it to his sister. They look pretty good. They're only 300 yuan, Mom will definitely like them. Yeah, I think so too. If you don't have anything else to buy, you can just order a birthday cake for her, Jing Jixin suggested. Huomin nodded. Okay, I'll see. After leaving school, on his way home, Huomin received a special phone call. The woman on the other end of the phone was serious and elegant. She said, Huomin, this is Jiang Hong. Can I meet with you? Jiang Hong, his heartless biological father's legal wife, the socialite of Sea City's prestigious Jiang family. Hua Xiqian's crazy foster mother? Huomin suddenly felt conflicted. Chapter 158. Don't be afraid, I don't mean any harm. I'm not like Xinjiani. Jiang Hong was afraid that Huomin would be worried, so she added another sentence. Okay, where shall we meet? How about this? I'll send a car to pick you up. Jiang Hong was very cautious. She didn't tell him the location, but instead asked the driver to pick Huomin up. Huomin waited for less than 10 minutes before a black Mercedes-Benz slowly stopped in front of her. Then, the driver pulled her to a high-end women's club in the development zone. Huomin looked up. She knew a little about this club. Apparently, it was a place where rich madams gathered. Normal people had no right to enter. It was rumored that the club was owned by Mrs. Hua. Today, it seemed that the rumors were true. Because Jiang Hong was Hua Xiqian's foster mother, Huomin was extra careful. In her mind, she always felt that the mother and son were not to be trifled with. In comparison, the scheming Shun Jiani and Hui Yinyan were much easier to deal with. She took the elevator to the 8th floor. In the innermost room, Huomin saw Jiang Hong. She was over 50 years old, but she took good care of herself. Her skin was very supple, and she wore a dark red cheongsam with dazzling pink diamonds on her wrist. Apparently, Jiang Hong and Hua Zhenghai got married because of business. Over the years, Hua Zhenghai had been involved in countless scandals and had many illegitimate children. In the end, he didn't divorce his wife. However, the fact that Shun Jiani could marry into this family was quite impressive. Huomin, you're here. Have a seat, Jiang Hong said elegantly with a faint smile on her face. Huomin couldn't tell whether her smile was friendly or hostile, because this woman hid it too well. Okay. Huomin was very cautious as she carefully sat down. What would you like to drink? Jiang Hong asked. Plain water. You're a very down-to-earth child. Jiang Hong smiled and waved her hand. After a while, the waiter poured a glass of water and placed it in front of Huomin. However, Huomin had no intention of drinking it. Huomin asked for plain water out of respect for Jiang Hong, but it was up to him whether he wanted to drink it or not. All these years, she had never allowed herself to drink things given to her by people she didn't trust. This was called self-protection. Jiang Hong understood what she meant and did not force her. Instead, she took the initiative to ask, I heard that you're a nurse at the first hospital. Yes. Are you used to it? Jiang Hong asked again. Yes, I quite like this job. Have you ever thought about coming back to this home? Jiang Hong picked up a glass of red wine and asked casually. I've never thought about it, Huomin replied firmly. Are you serious? Yes. You're quite special. What's wrong with coming back? I think you can at least have money and live a better life than you do now. When the time comes, you can even become a doctor, let alone a nurse. There's a way. Yes, it's good to have money. It can satisfy a lot of desires, but it's not that easy to get money. I don't think I have to have a share of the Hua family's fortune. Even if my surname is Hua, it doesn't mean I can't do anything. Plus, Mr. Hua didn't acknowledge my identity back then. Are you mad at him? Jiang Hong smiled as she looked at Huomin. She suddenly thought that this girl was quite interesting. No wonder her son always talked about this girl. I used to hate him when I was young, Huomin answered honestly. What about now? Jiang Hong asked with a smile. Chapter 159. I don't feel anything for him anymore. Hate is only possible when there is love. I don't love or hate the Hua family or Mr. Hua. I feel like a stranger to them. Ha! This is the first time I've heard you say that about your father. I don't think he's my father. I'd rather acknowledge my stepfather, Mr. Jing. Oh, right. I heard he passed away a long time ago. How's your mother? She's doing very well. Thank you for your concern, Huomin said politely, but at the same time, she sounded distant. Your mother is good. She raised you well. Other than the fact that you're dressed rather plainly, you're not inferior to Huoyanyan, Jiang Hong commented. I'm just an ordinary citizen. I can't compare to a socialite. You're flattering me. Jiang Hong and Huomin chatted about their daily lives. She wanted to find a way to get to the main point. However, after chatting for a while, she realized that this young lady was too smart. Her answers were flawless, and she couldn't find a single flaw in them. She didn't seem like someone in her 20s who was mature and calm. In the end, Jiang Hong couldn't help but ask, Huomin, do you know why I asked you to come here today? A little bit. Oh, is that so? Tell me about it then. Jiang Hong's interest was piqued. She leaned back on the purple sofa and looked at Huomin expectantly. Huomin had taken off her nurse's white coat and was only wearing a white short-sleeved shirt and a black knee-length skirt. The combination of black and white was simple, but it looked good. She never dressed up as flirtatiously and brightly as Huoyanyan. However, she always stood in the crowd so elegantly and calmly that it was unforgettable. Huoxiqian had mentioned Huomin a few times. Jiang Hong had a deep impression of Huomin, especially during the wake. Faced with Jiang Hong's questioning, Huomin hesitated for a moment and slowly said, If I'm not wrong, Madam asked me to come here to ask me which side I'm on, right? Madam wants me to come home to help you and young Master Hua. If I don't agree, she's afraid that I'll side with Madam Shun and become your enemy. So, my existence has already caused a certain degree of trouble to Madam. After hearing Huomin's answer, Jiang Hong stared at her for a long time with a meaningful look in her eyes. After a while, she sighed and said, You're really not a simple girl. It seems that I have guessed correctly. Huomin smiled. That's right. You're absolutely right. So which side are you on? I'm sure you're aware of the whole corporation situation. My son, Si Qian, has taken control of most of the company's shares. Although Hua Zhenghai hasn't acknowledged you on the surface, he's actually been thinking about you. Or rather, at this point, Jiang Hong purposely paused for a moment. Huomin continued her sentence, or rather, he doesn't want to acknowledge me as his daughter. He's just afraid that Madame Shun's family will be taken advantage of, so he wants to drag me down with him and protect his son and daughter's shares. Yes, that's right. Jiang Hong nodded and looked at Huomin with undisguised admiration. But these are just your thoughts. Do you want to hear what I have to say? Huomin asked. Okay, I've never wanted to get involved in any war, so I don't want to choose a side at all. I haven't had any deep ties with any of your sides all these years, so whether it's you or Mrs. Shun, I won't interfere. That's what I mean. So you're saying that you're going to give up the shares that belong to you? Do you know how much it's worth? That's probably more than you can earn in your lifetime. Don't you like the life where you can get whatever you want? Having too much money isn't a bad thing, Jiang Hong reminded him. Chapter 160. I know, I'm not an ambitious person, and I don't think it's good to have more money. To me, an ordinary life is the greatest happiness. Although my mother and I have lived a hard life all these years, it's been very fulfilling. Okay, I think I understand what you mean. Thank you for understanding, madam, but don't blame me for being blunt. If you change your mind in the future, I hope you can stand on my side. If you stand on Shun Jianni's side, then we will be enemies, and I will have no choice but to deal with you. I understand. Huomin nodded. Very good. You're a smart girl. I like you. Although she didn't manage to recruit Huomin this time, Huomin also made it clear that he wouldn't help Shun Jianni. This made Jiang Hong feel a lot more at ease. But even so, Huomin was still a young girl, and it wasn't impossible for her to change her mind in the future. So, she also made it clear that if they became enemies, she would do whatever it took to get her. It sounded like she was trying to intimidate Huomin, right? Huomin could tell. If you change your mind in the future, you are welcome to come find me anytime. Jiang Hong didn't forget to add. Okay. Huomin nodded and then left. She didn't expect to run into Huoxiqian at the entrance to the first floor. He drove an orange Ferrari 488, and a hot young model sat in the passenger seat. After the two got out of the car, the young model coquettishly wrapped her arms around Huoxiqian's arm. The two walked in chatting and laughing. From afar, Huamin saw Hua Xiqian's caressing face. How could he touch the young model without caring about anything else? Did he think that the waiters around him were all dead? Oh, I must be mistaken. Is this my little sister Mian? Hua Xiqian saw Huamin, and there was a hint of excitement in his eyes. You got the wrong person. Huamin lowered his voice and walked toward the door. Qin Shu told her that if she saw Hua Xiqian in the future, she had to take a detour, because he was very dangerous. Although she still didn't know how dangerous Hua Xiqian was, Huamin knew that Qin Shu was always right. He wouldn't say something like that for no reason, and Qin Shu didn't even tell her to stay away from Ning Ziyuan. This meant that in Qin Shu's eyes, Hua Xiqian was a very difficult person to deal with. Huamian, 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 Huamian. Huamin didn't say anything, nor did he have any intention of staying. Suddenly, Hua Xiqian shook off the model's hand, rushed to the door, and blocked Huamin's way. What do you want? Huamin looked at him cautiously. Hua Xiqian looked at Huamin from head to toe and smiled meaningfully. You're still dressed so old-fashioned, but you're still very likable. Can't you say something else when you see me? Are you a repeater? Huamin said coldly. Hua Xiqian, right? Every time he saw Huamin, he would say things like little sister, or you've become prettier. His words were so vulgar, and Huamin thought that he shouldn't use these words on her when he was flirting with girls. Anyway, she wouldn't fall for it. How could she not know what she looked like? Did he even need to say it? I love how tricky you are, you're so cute. Hua Xiqian wasn't angry. Instead, he was amused by Huamin. Mian, since we ran into each other, why don't you have a cup of coffee before you leave? It's rare to see you. No need, I'm busy. After speaking, Huamin brushed Hua Xiqian's arm away and strode out. Looking at Huamin's slender back, Hua Xiqian licked his lips, and his eyes sparkled with a strange light. Young Master Hua, is that woman your girlfriend? You seem to care a lot about her. The hot girl on the side seemed to be jealous and suddenly lied to Hua Xiqian. She thought that Hua Xiqian would coax her. To her surprise, Hua Xiqian furrowed his brows and said, Your face and chest are okay when you don't talk, but when you open your mouth, I'm not interested anymore. Get out. I'll give you 30 seconds to disappear from my sight. Young Master Hua, I was wrong. The model didn't think that the famously good-tempered Hua Xiao would have such a bad temper. Get out. Hua Xiqian spat out coldly and turned to go upstairs. It was already night time when Huamin got home. She noticed that Qin Shu wasn't home, so she thought he was still at work. Then, she remembered that he said he was flying to Taipei tonight. Just as she was thinking about this, she heard the sound of a key unlocking the door behind her. Huamin turned around in fear and suddenly became nervous. Qin Shu was on a business trip today, so who had her house keys? Could it be a thief? Chapter 161. Then, Huamin quickly grabbed her bag from the sofa and threw it at the person who came in. After she saw who it was too late for her to stop. Qin Shu didn't think that Huamin would welcome him home like this. Luckily, he reacted fast enough and blocked it with his hand. Otherwise, his head would have been injured. Why are you back? Weren't you on a business trip? Huamin was shocked. It was canceled last minute. Qin Shu said casually. He glanced at Huamin's bag and asked, What's in there? It's really heavy. Huamin was extremely embarrassed. He coughed a few times and immediately hid the bag behind him. Ahem, it's nothing. Just some daily necessities. As for the business trip, Qin Shu simply said that it was canceled at the last minute. The truth was, the business trip was only supposed to last 3 days. However, when the Taiwanese company heard that GK's big boss was going there in person, they suddenly increased the itinerary by a lot in order to get GK to invest. The trip went from 3 days to 6 days. Including the time on the plane, it was a total of 8 days. Qin Shu thought about it. His face immediately darkened when he realized that he wouldn't see Huamin for 8 days. He immediately canceled the trip to Taipei and drove to the neighboring city tomorrow morning to inspect the expansion project. When the Taiwanese company heard this, they panicked. No matter how much they tried to explain, Qin Shu refused to go. However, the Taipei project was an important project for GK, because they did a lot of research beforehand. The board members and executives all thought that it would be a loss if the president didn't go. Unfortunately, no one dared to ask the president for a favor. They were all afraid that if they made the big boss unhappy, they would get into trouble. In the end, it was Assistant Yang who was brave enough to test the waters. "Sir, why don't we send someone else to Taipei?" "That's good. You can ask someone from the marketing department to go and take a look." Qin Shu sent the director of the marketing department to Taipei with just one sentence. On the other hand, when he got off work at 5 o'clock, he was almost smashed into a pig's head by Huamin. "Change your clothes and go out with me," Qin Shu said. "Where to?" Huamin was puzzled. He thought that it shouldn't be a business dinner. After all, she said that she didn't want their relationship to be made public. "Let's go and see Teacher Yao. I heard that she's going back to New Zealand." When Huamin heard that they were going to visit the teacher, he didn't say anything else. He immediately changed into a jacket and went downstairs with Qin Shu. Teacher Yao's family lived in an old house within the second ring road. This was the place that her previous workplace had allocated to her. After he retired, his daughter brought him to New Zealand for his retirement. Now that he had returned to China, he still liked to live here. Qin Shu had bought a lot of high-end nutritional products in the trunk. Huamin sometimes felt that Qin Shu was actually quite meticulous. He always thought of things that she didn't think of. Teacher Yao was very happy to see the two of them. Teacher Yao's auntie even prepared dinner for them. Although it was simple, it was delicious. Qin Shu and Huamin stayed to have dinner with Teacher Yao. During the dinner, they talked about a lot of things that happened in the past. In the end, Teacher Yao looked at Qin Shu and Huamin and said meaningfully, "The two of you remember that 100 years of love means crossing the sea together, and 1,000 years of love means sleeping on the same pillow. It's not easy for two people to be together. In my life, I only feel that the so-called true meaning of love is actually a cup of warm water when you have a cold, washed and dried clothes and blankets, trivial arguments, and hugs when you're angry. When romance fades and passion fades, the warmth of daily necessities is also the most long-lasting confession. There are roses, there are confessions, but what love needs is a commitment, and more importantly, it requires persistence. When the sun has set, you will realize that the beauty of the past is still there." After Qin Shu and Huamin heard this, they were very moved. "Do you know why the divorce rate is so high now? Why were there so few in our era?" After Teacher Yao finished asking, the two of them shook their heads. Chapter 162. Because back in my day, people only thought about fixing things when they were broken. But in your day and age, everything is replaced when it's broken, including love. Just as Huamin was touched by the depth of Ms. Yao's words, Qin Shu suddenly interjected, "But I heard that in your day and age, people didn't dare to get a divorce even though they were clearly unhappy because of public pressure. In the end, many people died because of depression. But now, even though the divorce rate is high, people don't feel aggrieved anymore." Huamin, Ms. Yao, the two of them were instantly speechless by Qin Shu's words. In the end, Huamin was the first to react. He secretly pinched Qin Shu's thigh under the table and asked, "Ahem, where did you hear all this nonsense? Am I not telling the truth?" Qin Shu asked self-righteously. Huamin quickly and quietly tugged at the corner of his shirt. "Shut up." Although his voice was very soft, Ms. Yao heard him clearly. She smiled and said, "It's okay. Qin Shu is right. Back in my day, people were still very conservative. Some marriages were arranged by parents. Even though they weren't happy, they couldn't even think about getting a divorce. If they got a divorce back then, everyone would think that it was treacherous. Not only would the parents not be able to accept it, but they would also be drowned by the neighbor's saliva. Now that times have changed, young people like you have a better way of thinking. You should live happily. Life is short, so you shouldn't mistreat yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. I just want to say that no matter how times change, no matter how human nature changes, in the end, you should never forget your original intentions. Only by not forgetting your original intentions can you achieve success." After Qin Shu heard this, he seemed to be quite moved. Only by not forgetting his original intentions can he achieve success. That's right, Huamin had already become the goal of his life. He had never forgotten his original intentions. 7 years ago, Qin Shu was still a young and inexperienced teenager. He dared to say in front of his father, "I want to marry Huamin." Now that 7 years had passed, he had really married Huamin. To him, Huamin would always be his most treasured existence. After leaving teacher Yao's house for the first time, the two of them were not in a hurry to go home. Qin Shu drove the car to the entrance of Second High School. The two of them got out of the car and walked into the field. Second High was still one of the key high schools in the city. The students were all studying at night at this time. Only a few teachers and instructors were strolling around the field in twos and threes. The bright lights illuminated the entire school. On such a beautiful night, Qin Shu felt exceptionally peaceful. This place hasn't changed much. It's still so beautiful. Huamin sighed as he looked at the colorful lights at the edge of the basketball court. "Have you ever come back here after graduation?" Qin Shu asked. Huamin shook his head. "Other than the last time I ate with you at Aixin's Ramen, I haven't been here." Qin Shu looked at the school. His eyes were blurred and deep. He sighed slightly. "When I was in the United States, I dreamt of this scene countless times. Every blade of grass and every tree is deeply engraved in my memory. You've always been a legend in Second High." Huamin pursed his lips. "I've long been forgotten. The glory is a thing of the past, but the legend continues. Those girls' crazy infatuation with you has never stopped." Huamin chuckled. At that time, he saw those girls holding banners to express their love for Qin Shu. Even the slogans were so old-fashioned. "Qin Shu, our love for you was, as long as the small tree doesn't fall, we won't fall. If China moves, we won't move." After reading those words, Huamin was shocked. He dared to swear on his life that Qin Shu would never fall in love with those weird girls. "What about you? Were you crazy about me too?" Qin Shu suddenly turned his head. He looked at Huamin from a very close distance and asked seriously. Chapter 163. Huamin froze for a second before her memories came back to her. She vaguely remembered that she skipped a grade and only entered the school half a month after the first year of high school. Huamin was once the top scholar in the middle school exams and received invitations from many top high schools in the city and even the province. In the end, she chose Second High, which was close to her home and had good teaching. Apparently, the day she arrived, the school put up a banner and the principal personally welcomed her. Not only did he waive her 3 years of high school tuition, but he also paid for all of her expenses. He even paid for all her food and lodging expenses. This incident even made the local news headlines. At that time, Huamin's mother and Uncle Jing had always been proud of her. Huamin heard all kinds of rumors about Qin Shu on the first day of school. Apparently, he was very arrogant and had countless fans. However, he looked at those crazy girls as if they were idiots. Apparently, Qin Shu had a serious obsession with cleanliness, and no one was able to get within half a meter of him. At school, he had a table to himself, and the front and back tables were very far away from each other. When he ate, he also had his own table. Of course, because GK sponsored the school with astronomical amounts of money every year, Qin Shu was a special existence at school. He even enjoyed godlike treatment, and even the principal had to be courteous to him. That was until Huamin appeared. Huamin's appearance broke this rule. She was so reckless that she kicked the ball and sent it flying at Qin Shu's head. She almost disfigured her Prince Charming. When she was eating, she accidentally slipped and spilled the vegetable soup on Qin Shu. Most importantly, Qin Shu wasn't angry at all. Those girls were so jealous that they secretly said that Huamin did it on purpose and was playing hard to get. She wanted to be transferred to GK's prince, but no one knew that Huamin was extremely daring back then. Not to mention Qin Shu, she didn't even care about the most powerful people in the world. Back then, she was so arrogant that she could fight those delinquent girls 1-on-4. She was so arrogant that she could beat up the big boy from the next class just to protect the reputation of the class. She was so arrogant that she never studied and often skipped classes to go out and play. She was still able to get first place in her year every time. She was so arrogant that she didn't care about anyone, even if that person was Qin Shu, the heir of GK. Huamin coughed dryly and replied, "Ahem, I wasn't one of those people. I was just a passerby to you back then, not a fan." "Do you know what I was thinking when I first saw you?" Qin Shu asked as he smiled at Huamin. Huamin smiled and said, "You must be wondering how this little thing managed to sneak in." At that time, Huamin was only 14 years old, younger than the other children in her class. At that time, second high school only accepted students at the age of 17 because the learning tasks were too heavy. They were afraid that children who were too young would not be able to keep up. However, Huamin was an exception. She was able to get first place in the middle school entrance exam with almost full marks, so second high school made an exception and accepted her. During the interview, Huamin said something that was extremely arrogant. At that time, a reporter asked her provocatively, "First place in the middle school entrance exam isn't that big of a deal, it's just full marks. I also got 90 points in the middle school entrance exam for math and English. 90 points and 100 points aren't that big of a difference." Then, Huamin said something that was extremely shocking. She said, "I got 100 points because that's all there are on the exam paper, and you got 90 points because that's all you can do. There's no comparison." At that time, the reporter was embarrassed by Huamin's interrogation. Qin Shu was attracted to this interview the first time he saw it on TV. He raised his hand and placed it on Huamin's shoulder. He looked in her eyes and said, "Word for word, when I first saw you on TV, I thought, this girl is definitely going to be my wife." Huamin didn't expect Qin Shu to say something like this, and her face immediately turned red. While she was still in a daze, Qin Shu elegantly lowered his head and kissed her. Chapter 164. Huamin's IQ and EQ were both high, but there was only one small flaw. When facing Qin Shu, she would occasionally lose her ability to think. This was also the reason why Qin Shu was able to pursue her back then. She always felt that everything was destined. No matter how rational she was, no matter how perfect she would be vulnerable in front of Qin Shu. Therefore, when facing Qin Shu's kiss, she wanted to resist, but she couldn't exert any strength at all. Or rather, in her heart, she didn't want to avoid it all. She just wanted to greedily possess him and occupy his unique scent. It was the break time after class, and the school's radio would play some songs to relieve everyone's stress. A melodious voice sounded, "Back to the beginning, your young face in my memory. We finally arrived at this day. Old photos under the table, countless memories connected. Today the boy was going to meet the girl for the last time. Back to the beginning, standing blankly in front of the mirror, clumsily tying the knot of the red tie, combing my hair into an adult style, changing into a handsome suit. When I see you later, you will definitely be more beautiful than I imagined. I really want to go back to those years in front of the classroom seat, deliberately asking for your gentle scolding. The arrangement on the blackboard, can you bear to solve it? Who sat with whom? He loved her. Those years of missing the heavy rain, those years of missing the love. I really want to hug you, hug the courage that I missed. I once wanted to conquer the world, but in the end, I realized that the world was all about you. Those years of missing the heavy rain, those years of missing the love. I really want to tell you that I didn't forget. That night, the sky was full of stars, the promise made in a parallel universe. When we meet again, I will hug you tightly, hug you tightly. The song Those Years by Huaxia was especially suitable for the occasion. Everything was just right. Huamin was a sensitive woman, and at this moment, she was especially moved. Thinking back to those years with Qin Shu, her hands couldn't help but hug Qin Shu's broad back, hugging him tightly. They had indeed missed 7 years, but how many 7 years could there be in life? Feeling Huamin reach out to hug him for the first time, Qin Shu's heart rippled. This gentle kiss lasted for 3 minutes and 50 seconds, which was exactly the time for a song. Then, Qin Shu held Huamin's hand and silently walked out of the campus. The two of them didn't speak along the way. When they got home, Huamin felt a little sleepy, so she went back to the bedroom to take a hot shower. To her surprise, as soon as she came out of the bathroom, Qin Chu threw her onto the bed. Qin Chu. Huo Mian was nervous. Mian, I don't want to wait. Huo Mian's eyes when Shida was Huo Min was to do was to sleep to sleep. Qin Chu, I don't. Before Huo Min could finish her sentence, she was drowned in Qin Chu's forceful kiss. This time, it wasn't as gentle as when they were at school. Instead, he invaded her forcefully, not giving her any room to think. Huo Min felt her brain go blank, and she didn't have time to think. Everything was under Qin Chu's control. It had been a while since they registered their marriage. Other than kissing, the two of them didn't seem to have any further intimate contact. Qin Chu naturally thought so. After all, his feelings for Huo Min had always been clear. Huo Min, on the other hand, had always felt conflicted about Qin Chu because she didn't want to spend the rest of her life with him. She also wanted to divorce him in the future, so she tried her best not to give him too much. Huo Min had always felt that if a woman gave her body and heart to someone, then she would lose completely. She didn't even have a way out. Therefore, she had always been reserved with Qin Chu. Under the night sky, Qin Chu looked at Huo Min beneath him and felt an urge that he had never felt before. He knew that at this moment, desire had won over reason. Chapter 165. Just as Qin Chu was about to make his next move, Huo Min's phone rang. Qin Chu wanted to pick it up and throw it on the floor, but Huo Min grabbed it first. She pushed Qin Chu away and awkwardly stood up. She picked up the phone and walked out the door. Qin Chu's face turned ugly. Hello, Lingling. What's wrong? You sound a little weird. No. Huo Min felt guilty. That's impossible. I've known you for so long. You can't lie to me. Io, are you and Qin Chu doing something inappropriate? Zhu Lingling smirked. I think your breakup is over. You don't look like you're trying to get over it anymore. Huo Min was speechless. Of course, who am I? I'm Zhu Lingling, the most beautiful girl in the world. I just flew back and have 2 days off. I'll come find you tomorrow and take you out for a walk. Let's go eat fish at a nearby farmhouse and go for a walk, okay? Tomorrow? Not tomorrow. It's my mom's birthday. How about the day after tomorrow? All right, I forgot. It's Annie's birthday. Okay, let's go the day after tomorrow. After hanging up the call with Zhu Lingling, Huo Min felt a little embarrassed and went back to his room. Qin Chu was leaning against the bed and smoking. Lingling told me she wanted to go for a walk. Huh? Huo Min explained. Tell Zhu Lingling to get her ass over here right now. I promise I won't beat her to death, Qin Chu said angrily. Ahem. It's late, good night. So you want to kick me out? Qin Chu asked as he glanced at Huo Min. But isn't this my room? Huo Min looked helpless. Qin Chu immediately asked, Aren't you my wife? Huo Min, so, are you planning to stay here and not leave? As compensation, you have to sleep in the same bed as me tonight. Of course, if you think your bed isn't big enough, you can sleep in my room, Qin Chu said confidently as he flicked the ash off his cigarette. Huo Min was furious, but he couldn't find a reason to refuse. However, she understood. If it wasn't for Zhu Lingling's phone call, Qin Chu would have succeeded. The duck that was right in front of his mouth flew away. It was already impressive enough that he wasn't going crazy. In the end, Huo Mian decided to compromise and said deal. And so, Qin Chu began to occupy Huo Min's bed. This was the first time she slept in the same bed as Qin Chu. She wasn't used to sleeping in his arms. It was different from the last time. Last time, they snuck in the middle of the night. This time, they were face to face, although they broke through the last line of defense 7 years ago and tasted the forbidden fruit. They were still young. They were still young back then, and they were both drunk. Now they were reminded of the scene back then. No one would be able to remember it. Huo Min was too embarrassed to look at Qin Chu's face, so she flipped over to the other side. Qin Chu took the opportunity to hug her waist from behind. She was so nervous that she almost died. Qin Chu, I'm telling you, don't touch me. I'm ticklish, Huo Min warned. Don't worry, I won't do that. I'll feel worse than you. After a quiet night, after breakfast, Qin Chu went to work while Huo Min went to the mall. After spending 1,000 yuan to buy a dress for her mother and ordering a cake, Huo Min took a taxi home. As soon as she walked in, She smelled the aroma of food. The yard was full of people, all of whom were good neighbors. "Mian, you're back," the neighbors greeted her. Young Meirong heard the sound and turned around. She glanced at Huamin and asked with a straight face, "Don't you have to go to work today?" Chapter 166. Yeah, because I was transferred to another department. The hospital gave me 3 days off. "Oh, you were transferred? Where are you now?" The neighbor, Auntie Wu, asked enthusiastically. Huamian smiled and replied, "I'm in a laboratory. I only need to draw blood for tests." "That's good, that's easy. I told your mom a long time ago not to let you work in the OB/GYN department. The responsibility is too heavy. Those pregnant women are all spoiled, and if you don't take care of them well, they'll definitely find fault with you. It's good that you were transferred. Yeah, it's relatively easier here, and I don't have night shifts anymore." "Huh. Mian, why didn't your boyfriend come with you?" The neighbors loved to gossip, and a few aunts who were close to Hua Min's mother asked at once. "I broke up with him already." "What? You broke up? Didn't you hear that you were getting married? Why did you break up?" Sure enough, this piqued the aunt's interest. Huamin was a bit embarrassed and didn't know what to say. Just then, Jing Jixin walked out of the room and took the cake from his sister's hand, saying, "Young people nowadays don't have a reason for breaking up. They just don't think their personalities are compatible. But isn't that guy a doctor? His job is pretty good, isn't it?" The aunt seemed to think that it was a pity that Huamin broke up with Ning Ziyuan. "What's so good about it? Even though he's a doctor, he's only an intern, and he might not even become a full-time employee. Plus, that guy's temper doesn't match my sister's, and when they were discussing marriage, a lot of details couldn't be handled properly, so they decided to break up peacefully." "Oh, so that's what happened." Jing Jixin's answer for his sister was pretty good. The aunts were speechless as well. Soon, Yang Meirong brought out the dishes she had made. There were 8 in total, and in the middle was the cake that Jing Jixin ordered for Huamin. Other than Yang Meirong, Huamin, and Jing Jixin, there were 3 other aunts. Annie Wu was close to Yang Meirong. The other 2 were a bit worse, and Huamin didn't like them very much. It was not because they were poor, but because most of them were just ordinary citizens. She liked to take advantage of others, liked to gossip about other people's affairs, and was also snobbish. She especially looked down on poor people. Annie Wu had a son who was already 30 years old, but still had no girlfriend. It was because Annie Wu's family was a little rich. They had 2 houses in the city and a retail store. Her son also worked in a bank. Therefore, he had gone on dozens of blind dates, but none of them were successful. Most of the time, it was because the girl's family background was not good enough. "Mom, happy birthday." Huamin took out the dress he had bought and handed it to her. When Aunt Wong saw the sign, she asked, "Hey, isn't this brother? This brand is not cheap." "How much did you pay for it?" "Mian, not much." "How much is not much?" Aunt Wong asked relentlessly. "More than 1,200. 1,200 isn't much? Your monthly salary is only 2,000, right? TSK, TSK. You actually bought such an expensive dress." Annie Wong's words revealed her disdain for Huamian. Yang Meirong took the dress, looked down, and casually said, "That's why it's good to have a daughter. She earns 2,000 a month, but she could spend 1,200 on a dress for me. She's not like some people who have sons. Their sons earn 10,000 a month, but they can't even afford to buy anything for their mothers." Annie Wong heard this and immediately felt embarrassed. She didn't say anything else. She heard that her son didn't even call her on her birthday a while ago. He probably forgot. Apparently, her son came back from abroad from Singapore. He worked in a foreign company and earned 15,000 a month. "Sister, you have a good life. Both your children are filial. Jixin went to school and saved money to buy you shoes. You didn't dote on them for nothing," Auntie Wu said, trying to smooth things over. Just then, Auntie Lu said, "It would be even better if your old Jing was still here. The whole family would be happy." What a pity. Upon hearing Uncle Jing's name, Huamin's eyes reddened. She felt a little depressed. Chapter 167. Huamin thought that his mother would give him a cold look when she mentioned the sad past. However, To his surprise, Yang Meirong only pouted and said, "He's been dead for so long. Why bring him up? We're happy today, so let's eat and drink well." Since Yang Meirong said so, the other three aunts didn't say anything else. During dinner, Huamin went to the kitchen to get more food, and Jing Jixin quietly followed him. "Sis, don't mind what those gossipy aunts said. They're just that kind of people. They love to gossip." "I know, I didn't mind." "That's good." "Sis, you don't seem very busy these days." Jing Jixin looked at his sister and asked. "Yeah, the hospital gave me 3 days off, so I'm pretty free." "That's good. Since you don't have to go to work tomorrow, why don't you stay over tonight? You haven't stayed over in a while." Jing Jixin's eyes were pleading. He really liked his sister. When they were young, they often played hide and seek under the old tree in the yard. When they got tired, they would lean against the tree and fall asleep. His sister would also tell him Grimm's fairy tales. His sister was a genius. Jing Jixin couldn't even recognize the words in those thick Grimm's fairy tales, but his sister could recite them backwards. He always thought that his sister was his greatest pride. Even when his biological father, Jingde, died because of his sister, he never blamed her. Huamin always thought that her brother was a war man. His smile was bright and carefree, so she really wanted to protect him. Especially after Uncle Jing passed away, she didn't want Jixin to suffer. "Okay." Huamin thought about Jing Jixin's request and nodded in agreement. "Yay, that's great." Jing Jixin was ecstatic. After dinner, the aunts left, and Huamin followed her mother to clean up. While washing the dishes, she quietly said, "Mom, Zhang Hong came looking for me a few days ago and asked if I wanted to go back. What good could she possibly want from you?" "It's about the internal strife in the whole family. The fight between the main family and the second family has reached its climax. That's for the best. It'll be better if he dies randomly and piss off that heartless jerk." Yang Meirong was filled with resentment at the mention of Hua Zhenghai. Back then, she had been in the entertainment industry. She should have had a bright future ahead of her, but she didn't expect to be ruined by this heartless man. In the end, the child she gave birth to was not acknowledged. This allowed the vixen Shun Jiani to take advantage of the loophole. "I won't go back. I don't want the Hua family's property, and I don't want to talk to anyone in the Hua family," Huamin said. Yang Meirong's hand paused slightly as she turned to look at Huamin. "It's rare for you to be so open-minded. Mom, I don't want to go through what you went through all those years ago. There's nothing good about being rich. With more money comes more worries. I just want to spend the rest of my life with you and Jixin in peace. When Jixin gets married and has kids, I'll take you to the south for a vacation. We'll see the great rivers and mountains of our motherland." Huamin's words truly moved Yang Meirong. Ever since Jingde died, she had been venting her anger on her daughter. The truth was, she didn't really hate her daughter. She just didn't know how to face the cruel truth. "You're not young anymore. You'll get married one day. Keep your eyes open and find an honest man to live with. Don't find a rich man. Not only will he look down on us, but our relationship might not be stable either." Hearing his mother's words, Huamin felt a deep sense of guilt. If his mother knew that he was married to Qin Shu, she would probably go crazy. "Mom, you're not in good health. Why don't we close the convenience store? We can sell the house and live in the city. You can enjoy life there." Huamin wasn't under so much financial pressure now. He wanted his mother to sell the house and make a down payment for a new house so that they could live together. Chapter 168. "It's fine. I've gotten used to living here, and I don't want to move to a new house. I'm familiar with the neighbors here, and even though your aunts have bad mouths, they're good people. When your Uncle Jing wasn't around, they took care of the three of us. I like living here. When you and Jixin start your own families, you can come back more often if you want. If you don't, I won't feel bored." Yang Meirong seemed to be very open-minded. "Mom, I'm sorry." Huamin lowered her head guiltily again. "It's fine. I can't blame you for this. A few days ago, I went to the temple to burn incense and listen to an eminent monk preach. I'm not very educated, so I didn't understand the profound stuff. I only understood that in life, everything has its cause and effect. Your Uncle Jing's death might have been predestined. Even if he didn't protect you, Who knows when another disaster would befall you? Mom, Humin didn't think that her mother, a commoner, would talk about Buddhism. She seemed to understand it quite well, and the knot between her and her mother seemed to have been untied a lot. At least her mother wouldn't continue to hate her for Uncle Jing's death. This made Humin feel a lot more relaxed. You should work. Even though it's not very good, your salary is enough to support you. You don't have to always give Jixin money. I've saved a lot over the years, and Jixin will graduate in a few years. We'll help him find a wife and start a family. Mom, don't worry. I'll help Jixin get married and buy a house. Just help him as much as you can. He's a boy, so he needs to have some ambition. He knows our family situation. He won't, Mom. Jixin is a good boy. He never spends money recklessly. Ever since Uncle Jing passed away, Humin hadn't had such a peaceful conversation with her mother. It had been a long time since she felt touched. At night, Jixin was so excited that he refused to go to sleep. He chatted with Humin under the rocking chair in the yard. Just then, she received a WeChat message. Humin picked up her phone in a panic and glanced at it. It was from Qin Shu. Where are you? Qin Shu asked. I'm at home, she replied curtly. I'm at home too. Why don't I see you? Qin Shu thought she was at Imperial Park. I'm at my mother's house. Today's my mother's birthday, so I'm not going back tonight. I'm staying here. Okay. Qin Shu knew where she was. He had planned to take Huamian to a new seafood restaurant in the north of the city, but she was nowhere to be seen when he got home. Since Qin Shu's assistant Yang, who was about to get off work, was shocked when he saw the big boss return. It's okay. I'll work overtime. Jixin, with Jixin, Jixin want to see Jixin T. After all, Jixin would hate him if he stood her up. What's the matter? Qin Shu asked when he saw Yang's conflicted expression. President Qin, I heard there's a new movie that's pretty good, Yang said slowly. So? Qin Shu looked at Yang and asked. So, can I go watch a movie with my wife? She already bought the tickets. If I don't go, she'll kill me. It was obvious that Yang was scared of his wife. If she finds out that you might be fired because of a movie, will she still kill you? Qin Shu asked faintly. Yang wanted to cry. President Qin, please don't. Which movie theater? Qin Shu asked. The one in Wanda Plaza, First Ring Road. Assistant Yang replied bitterly. Qin Shu stood up. Let's go, I'll drive you. What? Yang was dumbfounded. He thought he was hallucinating. Chapter 169. Why aren't you leaving yet? Do you want to work overtime? Qin Shu asked coldly. No, I don't. Assistant Yang wondered if his luck was off the charts today. He couldn't believe that his boss would personally drive him home. But here was the problem. If he got in his boss's Maybach, what about his Volkswagen CC? It was easy to park his car at the company, but what about going to work tomorrow morning? Did he have to take the bus? But none of that was a problem. The problem was that he was lucky enough to get a ride from his boss. Of course, he didn't know that his boss was bored because his wife was at home. That was why he wanted to give him a ride. He was also giving him a ride because he wanted to watch a movie. When they arrived at the entrance of the theater, Assistant Yang's wife was surprised to see another man. She asked quietly, Who is this? Our boss. President. President Qin? Assistant Yang's wife couldn't remain calm. Assistant Yang nodded. Boss, we're here. You should go back. We're going in. Assistant Yang said politely at the entrance of the theater. I want to watch too. Go buy a ticket. After speaking, Qin Shu took out a few hundred yuan from his wallet and handed it to Assistant Yang. It's not that much. Assistant Yang suspected that his boss had never watched a movie before. How could he not know the price of a ticket? However, Yang returned dejectedly after a short while. The reason was that there were no more tickets. The theater was full. Boss, why don't you go watch something else? Captain America is playing next door. It's really good. Then what are you guys watching? Beijing meets Seattle 2. My wife likes to watch romance. I can't help it, Assistant Yang said helplessly. Then I want to watch that too, Qin Shu said stubbornly. Assistant Yang was stumped. There were only 2 tickets. If his boss insisted on watching it, then he had to give it to him. However, he couldn't let him and his wife watch it. He wasn't worried that his boss would seduce his wife, but he was worried that his wife wouldn't be able to resist the temptation and seduce his boss. In the end, Assistant Yang clenched his teeth and negotiated with his wife. That was, Xiao Yang accompanied his boss to the cinema to watch Beijing Meets Seattle 2. Yang's wife gritted her teeth and went next door to see Captain America with tears in her eyes. As a Chinese housewife, she had no interest in American blockbusters, but she had no choice. Who told them not to offend the boss? After watching the movie, Qin Shu was in a good mood and drove the couple home. He even gave little Yang's baby a greeting gift, a red packet of 10,000 RMB. Xiao Yang's wife couldn't close her mouth as she held onto the red packet. She had already forgotten about the movie tickets being stolen. She kept saying, "Your boss is really nice. He's super square." Yang rolled his eyes at his wife and replied, "I don't know who was the one who secretly called him a third wheel for stealing your movie ticket, but now you're saying that he's not bad. Women really don't mean what they say." "Of course, the movie tickets are only a few bucks," Yang's wife said proudly. On the way home, Qin Shu was in a good mood. It was her first time watching a romance movie. Although Yang was sitting next to her, the scene was a little awkward. However, he felt that the movie content was good, so he drove home in one go and found Seattle first on his computer. He also felt that it was good. He suddenly thought, when Huamin comes back tomorrow, should I take her to watch Seattle again? Just as he was thinking, a local news article popped up on his computer and caught his attention. The patient had no choice but to take the hospital to court. The patient's family members were agitated and made a scene at the first hospital today. All the hospital's security guards were mobilized, and the hospital was left empty. It caused chaos for a while, and people seeking medical treatment were greatly affected. The nurse in question did not show up, and President Wu Zhongxing did not give any response. According to our observations, this is the first time in the first hospital that a scandal has broken out in the past 15 years. Everyone in society is paying attention to this matter. We will continue to follow up and report, so please continue to stay tuned. After turning off the computer, Qin Shu frowned slightly. This time, Huamin was in a bit of trouble. Once the news was exposed, most situations would be difficult to control and the consequences would be unpredictable. He picked up his phone and immediately dialed a number. Suppress this incident at the first hospital within half an hour. Don't let any media report it. At this time, Huamin was still asleep and had no idea that the outside world was in chaos. Chapter 170. After Qin Shu put pressure on the media, things quieted down quite a bit. However, someone opened a smurf account and exposed the incident on the number 1 forum. In this era of the internet, there were many netizens, and the number 1 forum was a popular forum to begin with. As soon as the post came out, people immediately started to follow the trend. In the end, the incident still spread. The person who posted the post used the identity of the patient's family to expose the dark side of the number 1 hospital, where the nurse pretended to be a doctor to cheat money. They also pointed out that the TV station should have reported it, but the hospital used their connections to suppress it. It was obvious how dark this incident was. They didn't know that the number 1 hospital didn't use their connections to suppress this incident for Huamin. It was her husband, Qin Shu, who cared about his wife and was afraid that his husband would be attacked by public opinion, so he did it. Therefore, the post was titled, "The number 1 hospital is heartless. Nurses perform surgeries on pregnant women. Mastermind suppresses media. Citizens have no way to complain." Now, such a detailed post instantly attracted the attention of all walks of life, including many departments in the city bureau. The Ministry of Health even called the director of the number 1 hospital, Wu Zhongxing, over and over again to ask about the incident. Huamin only slept at home. When she woke up, she realized that the weather had changed. When she was asleep, she was afraid that it would affect her sleep, so she had a habit of turning her phone on silent. Therefore, when she picked up her phone in the morning, she almost thought that the system had crashed. There were more than 100 missed calls, countless text messages, and countless WeChat messages. "Mian, something big happened. Where are you? Why can't I get through to you?" This was from Huang Yu. "Huamin, call me back. It's urgent." This was from the head nurse. "Girl, did you see the news? I think your hospital was on TV. I even heard your name mentioned. What happened? This was from Zhu Lingling. Huamin casually scrolled through her phone and saw that there were a few calls from Qin Chu. It seemed like something really happened, or else there wouldn't be so many people looking for her. Sis, you're up. Jing Jixin walked in and handed a cup of warm milk to Huamin. Yes. Sis, there's something I don't know if I should tell you. What's wrong? Huamin frowned when he saw his brother's hesitant expression. Jing Jixin thought for a moment, then handed his phone over to Huamin and showed him his WeChat moments. It turned out that news spread very quickly these days. That post had spread all over the local circle of friends. There were even people who threatened to hunt down the nurse named Huamin. A few of Jing Jixin's friends knew that Huamin was Jing Jixin's sister, so they sent him the link early in the morning. After seeing it, he was in a bad mood. He was afraid that his sister would be sad, but he was also afraid that his sister would get hurt. However, he knew that this matter could not be concealed. His sister would find out sooner or later. After calmly reading the message, Huamin returned the phone to his brother. Sis, what's going on? I don't believe that you would do something like that. Someone must be trying to frame you, right? To be honest, Huamin wasn't surprised at all when he found out about this. After all, the pregnant woman's husband had already made it clear that he would fight Huamin to the death. Therefore, it wasn't strange that it was exposed. However, she was curious as to why the media didn't report such a big incident. Instead, it spread through WeChat moments. Don't worry, it'll be fine. I'll take care of it. Huamin got up and washed up as usual. Then, he said goodbye to his mother and brother and left the house. When Huamin arrived at the first hospital, he saw from afar that the entrance was filled with people blocking the way. They were holding huge banners saying things like "Black-hearted hospital, black-hearted nurse, give me back my health, give me back my justice." Just as Huamin was about to walk over, someone suddenly pulled Huamin to the side. Huamin turned around in horror. Chapter 171. Mian, why are you here too? I was just about to go look for you, Huang Yu said mysteriously. How could I not come when something this big happened? Looks like you already know. Huamin nodded. Then what should we do now? I'm a little scared. I didn't think that things would get so out of hand. My friends are all asking me about it. Even though they didn't mention my name, I'm still worried. Huang Yu was still young, so she started to panic when something happened. Don't worry, I'll take care of it. I'm going to go look for the head nurse right now. Then I'll go with you. Let's go through the back door, not the front door. Okay. After speaking, Huamin and Huang Yu were about to go around the back door. Suddenly, someone shouted, "Look, the nurse is over there." Suddenly, a large group of people surrounded them. Some of them were brought by the patient, while others were tabloid reporters. The official media didn't dare to report this, but it was inevitable that some people would surround them and dig up dirt on them for profit. You must be Huamin. As the person involved in this incident, what do you have to say? They're twisting the truth. The truth isn't like that. There's nothing wrong with the patient. The family is making a scene because they failed to extort compensation, so they're trying to smear our hospital's reputation, Huamin calmly explained. Just then, the patient's husband pointed at Huamin and scolded, "Don't slander us. Who's smearing your reputation? Everything I said is the truth. You black-hearted nurse, you obviously don't have a doctor's license, but you pretended to be a miracle doctor and operated on my wife. Now, both my daughter and my wife are suffering from complications. Not only is your hospital not giving us an explanation, you're even trying to shirk responsibility. What's most infuriating is that Metropolis Daily promised to do an interview with us to expose your methods, but your hospital found someone to suppress it. How are we, the citizens, supposed to live from now on? Everyone, please be the judge." The man's words seemed to have been discussed at home. At a time like this, coupled with his vivid expression, without a doubt, many people believed it. Huang Yu was so angry that her face turned red. She replied, "You're lying. What you're saying is obviously wrong. You tried to extort millions from our director before, but he refused, so you slandered him. You'll get retribution for doing this." Then, Miss Huamin, may I ask, are you a nurse in this hospital? A young reporter took the opportunity to ask. I am. You're a nurse in the OB-GYN department, right? Yes. Huamin nodded. Were you the one who performed the surgery on the pregnant woman? There wasn't any doctor present, was there? Huamin hesitated for a moment. She knew that this was a crucial question. Once she answered, it would be tantamount to admitting everything. When the time came, it would directly trigger the explosive point. But if he said otherwise, he would be lying. Huang Yu nervously pinched Huamin, as if to tell her not to admit it. After all, there were too many people here, and there would be trouble in the future. But Huamin still felt that he didn't want to lie. That's right, that's right. After Huamin admitted it personally, the crowd went wild. Everyone was blaming her and yelling, "You're a black-hearted nurse. How could you experiment on a pregnant woman and a child? Aren't you afraid of retribution?" Huang Yu was so anxious that she was about to cry. She loudly explained, "My senior sister was trying to save someone. Listen to me. The situation that night was very urgent." However, Huang Yu's voice was very soft and was covered by everyone's voices. No one listened to her explanation. Everyone, look, this woman admitted it. "You evil woman, you kill my wife. I'm going to kill you today." After speaking, the man suddenly rushed forward and pounced on Huamin. Huamin dodged back, causing the man to miss. Huamin grabbed Huang Yu's shoulder and said, "Hurry up and leave. I'll think of a way to escape." After she finished speaking, she pushed Huang Yu out of the encirclement. At this time, the pregnant woman's husband squeezed in again. While Huamin wasn't paying attention, he viciously pushed her to the ground. Chapter 172. Someone in the crowd screamed. Huamin felt like she had hit something on her head, and it hurt a little. The hospital security guards rushed out and started fighting with the patient's family members. The patient's family members seemed to be very agitated and wanted to hit Huamin. The sudden riot caused the scene to lose order. As a medical staff member, Huamin knew how to protect herself. She curled herself up in a corner and avoided all the important parts of her body. This chaotic scene lasted for about 3 minutes until the police car siren sounded. The crowd gradually dispersed. The tabloid reporters ran away and the onlookers retreated. 3 police cars stopped in front of the first hospital. After receiving the call, Gao Ran rushed over with his men. He did not expect that the person involved in this riot was Huamin. Gao Ran reached out and wanted to help Huamin. However, Huamin did not reach out and stood up on her own. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine, thank you." Gao Ran was still worried, so he asked 2 female police officers to escort Huamin to the hospital's emergency room. After doing a detailed examination and confirming that Huamin only had a bump on her head and nothing else, he was relieved. In the end, Gao Ran brought the patient's family members and Huamin back to the Municipal Public Security Bureau. Not long after, the video of the scene in front of the hospital spread. It was in high definition. The post went crazy on WeChat moments. The title was "Black-Hearted Nurse Admits She Did It." Black-Hearted Hospital doesn't want to take responsibility, so they let security guards hit her. It was obvious that the post was on the patient's side this time. It criticized the hospital and Huamin's personal behavior. Inside a high-end clubhouse, a group of rich people were playing golf. As they took a break, they took out their phones to check their WeChat moments and discuss the incident enthusiastically. "This nurse is quite interesting. She admitted it on the spot. It would be strange if she didn't get beaten up by the patient's family members. Yeah, I think this nurse is an idiot too. Haha, she's stupid. If it were me, I wouldn't admit it, even if I was beaten to death." "Young Master Su, what do you think?" A few rich second-generation heirs looked respectfully at the young man who was wearing a white, luxurious sportswear. He was drinking Evian's mineral water gracefully, and behind him were 2 tall beauties massaging his back. He wore a limited-edition Cartier ring on the middle finger of his right hand. His eyes were not big, but they were narrow and sharp. He didn't have the domineering aura of a king like Qin Shu. Instead, he had a kind of feminine and enchanting beauty. In short, he wasn't very handsome at first glance, but the second and third glance would gradually captivate people's souls. There was a saying in the aristocratic circle that no matter how beautiful a woman was, she couldn't resist young Master Su's affectionate gaze. It was said that when he looked at people seriously, his gaze was extremely seductive. It was like a trap that made people unable to extricate themselves from. He was the most distinguished of the four princes. Even Huasiqian had to treat him with respect. Suyu. Hearing someone ask him, Suyu put down the mineral water, opened the link on his WeChat Moments, and glanced at the video. He only said, "It's obvious that the family members are causing trouble, and that nurse should be more wrong than Do." Huh? No way. Isn't that nurse very bad? She's a black-hearted woman who privately operated on a pregnant woman. A few rich second-generation heirs didn't understand young Master Su's point of view, so you only sneered. A lot of things aren't what they seem on the surface. In the future, use your brain more when you analyze things. After speaking, Suyu got up and walked towards the golf course. When Qin Shu received Gao Ran's call, he was in a video conference with the heads of his 7 subsidiaries. When he saw Gao Ran's call, he subconsciously pressed it. Gao Ran sent him another message. He lowered his head to read it, and his expression immediately changed. "Chu, your wife got into a dispute with someone and is at our police station. Do you want to come and bail her out?" Chapter 173. After seeing Gao Ran's message, Qin Chu couldn't stay calm anymore. He raised his hand and made a stop sign, interrupting the video conference that was in progress. On the other end of the video, all the presidents of the subsidiary companies didn't dare to make a sound. Assistant Yang sensibly turned off the video so that the president could make the call. Qin Chu immediately called Gao Ran back. "What's going on?" he asked coldly. "There was a riot at the entrance of the first hospital. I rushed over as soon as I received a call and saw that the person involved was Huang Min. It seems like he got into a fight with the patient's family. Is she okay?" Qin Chu felt his heart in his mouth. The words riot and fight made him extremely nervous. He was afraid that Huang Min would get hurt. "It's nothing serious. She just got a bump on her head." Before Gao Ran could finish, Qin Chu hung up the phone. Gao Ran, that brat, said it was nothing serious. How could a bump on her head not be serious? After Qin Chu hung up the phone, he felt terrible. His face immediately darkened. Assistant Yang, who was standing beside him, felt a gust of cold air. "Tell everyone to end the video conference. I'm going out." "Yes, sir." Assistant Yang had been working for Qin Chu for a while now. He wasn't stupid enough to ask the president what he was going to do. In Assistant Yang's opinion, the only thing that could make the president nervous was that woman with the surname Hua. "Gao Ran, when can I leave?" Huang Min couldn't wait any longer. He wanted to go back to the hospital and see how things were going. "After your family comes to bail you out." "Bail me out?" Huang Min was a bit surprised. "Yeah," Gao Ran replied as he wrote down the documents. "Then I'll call my family right now and ask them to come over." Huang Min thought that Ji Xin should come over. After all, it was just signing the papers. Unexpectedly, Gao Ran suddenly said, "I've already called Qin Chu." Huang Min was completely shocked. "You called Qin Chu? Isn't he your family member?" Gao Ran raised his head and asked. Huang Min remained silent, thinking that Gao Ran seemed to already know about their relationship. It was no wonder that Gao Ran was Qin Chu's good friend. It was normal for him to know, just like her relationship with Zhu Lingling. Qin Chu arrived in less than 10 minutes. He ran 6 red lights along the way and even drove against the traffic for a while. As soon as he walked in, he walked towards Huang Min and Gao Ran. When he left the company, he had already seen the video circulating on his WeChat friend circle and understood the violent incident that happened in front of the first hospital. "Chu, you're here. Come and sign the papers." Gao Ran waved his hand. Qin Chu walked over. He first glanced at Huang Min and said in a deep voice, "Wait for me." Then he looked at Gao Ran and asked, "Where are the patient's family members?" "Oh, they're over there. I only caught one of them and didn't do anything to the others. I just taught them a lesson and let them go." Before Gao Ran could finish, he saw Qin Chu walk towards a room where the patients were being held. "Hey, Chu, where are you going?" "I'm not done yet," Gao Ran yelled behind him. When Qin Chu walked over, he loosened the tie around his neck and kicked the door open with a bang. At this moment, the pregnant woman's husband was leaning against the wall with a sloppy look on his face. "Who are you?" the man asked impatiently as he looked at Qin Chu. Without saying anything, Qin Chu walked over, picked him up, and punched him. The man's nose was bleeding. Chapter 174. Who are you? What right do you have to hit me? The man yelled. Chu didn't care and kept punching the guy, giving him a good beating. Gao Ran and Huamin rushed over when they heard the squeal. Gao Ran pulled Chu away. It was Huamin's first time seeing Chu so fierce. He beat the guy up so badly that he couldn't even defend himself. Moreover, the man didn't even have the strength to fight back. As an aristocrat, Chu had been practicing martial arts since he was young. He knew all kinds of fighting styles such as Taekwondo, Muay Thai, Wing Chun, Sanda, and grappling. With Chu's talent, it could be said that his skills were comparable to that of a martial arts master. It was not something that the guy could handle. After the guy was beaten up, he lay on the ground and couldn't get up. His head looked like a pig's head. Gaoran was dumbfounded. He had known Chu for many years, but he had never seen him so angry. It seemed that the guy was looking for trouble this time. Touching Huamin was more unacceptable than hitting Chu himself. That's enough, bro. Why do you have to fight with trash like him? Hearing Gao Ran's advice, Chu didn't say anything. He just looked at the guy on the ground coldly. Just you wait. I'm going to sue you for intentional injury, the guy said through gritted teeth. Very well, I'll wait for your lawsuit. After speaking, Chu turned around. Chu, let's go back. Chu didn't say anything. Instead, he suddenly picked up Huamin and walked out. Hey, you didn't sign the papers, and you took her away? Gao Ran yelled behind him. Chu ignored her and put Huamin in the passenger seat. After asking her to fasten her seatbelt, he sped away. You are dead. Gao Ran pointed at the man lying on the ground and said sympathetically. He really wanted to ask him. The world was so big and there were so many people. Why did he provoke Chu? Messing with Chu himself was still acceptable, but why did he have to mess with Chu's wife? Chu was a total wife con. You policemen hit people, I want to sue you. The man wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said fiercely. The person who hit you just now wasn't a police officer. Can you please have some common sense? Those are the family members of the victims. Then when he hit me, why didn't you police stop him? How could you let him barge in without permission? I can't even guarantee my safety at the police station. It's your police dereliction of duty. I want to complain. Seeing how the man was still so arrogant after being hit, Gao Ran said helplessly, people like you, with your IQ, will never survive past half an episode in a harem drama. On the way, Chu didn't say anything. No matter what Huamin said, he didn't respond. He only had an expression on his face. He looked straight ahead and completely ignored Huamin's existence. Huamin knew that he was angry, but she was confused. Why would he be angry? Chu, what do you want to eat for lunch? Chu didn't say anything. Chu, you don't have to go to work today. Why don't you stop in front and I'll go back myself? You can go back to the company. Chu still didn't say anything. Chu? Huamin still wanted to say something. However, Chu turned his head and looked at her as if he wanted to eat her alive. She forcefully swallowed the second half of her sentence and didn't dare to say anything else. After Chu parked his car in the parking lot downstairs, he looked straight ahead and asked coldly, why is it that every time something happens to you, the first person you think of isn't me? After Huamin heard this, she was speechless. Is it because you think that I'm not important to you? Is that why no matter what danger you encounter, you don't tell me first and consider my feelings? Chu said each word clearly. Every word that came out of his mouth made his heart bleed. Huamin was injured. Huamin was searched. Huamin's video was exposed. Huamin was sent to the police station. She never mentioned any of these things, not even a word. Chu suddenly felt that ever since they got married, everything seemed to be his wishful thinking. After hearing Chu's words, Huamin's expression changed again and again. Chapter 175. Chu, it's not like that. I just don't want you to worry about me. Why don't you just tell me that I'll always be an outsider to you? It's not like that. In the end, the two of them sat in the car in silence for a minute. Neither of them spoke. Qin Shu didn't speak because he was angry. Huamin didn't speak because he didn't know how to explain himself. Huamin felt a slight pain in her head. She reached out to touch it and frowned. Ouch! She couldn't help but make a sound, probably because she was in pain. At that moment, Qin Shu's heart softened after he got out of the car. He held Huamin's hand and went upstairs. Then he found a first aid kit at home and disinfected Huamin's wound. He gently brushed Huamin's long hair aside. There was a purple bump on the upper left side of her head. It was obvious that it was a bruise. Qin Shu's heart ached. Hang in there. I'll use iodophor to disinfect it. Okay. Huamin nodded. Qin Shu dipped a cotton swab in iodophor to disinfect it. Then, he wrapped a boiled egg and placed it on her head. I'll do it myself. You should go to work. I know what's important. I don't need you to remind me, Qin Shu said in annoyance. Huamin immediately fell silent. Today, Qin Shu was as scary as if he had eaten gunpowder. Especially when he was at the police station, he was even scarier when he hit the man. She even thought that if Gao Ran didn't pull him away, he would have beaten the man to death. Qin Shu took out his phone and called Yang. He told him that he wouldn't be coming over in the afternoon and that he would postpone everything at the company. Then, he opened his laptop and sat down with Huamin on the sofa in the living room. They looked at the news on the forum. There must be someone behind this for this incident to worsen so quickly. I don't think the patient's family has the ability to do so, Qin Shu stated as he scrolled through the forum. Huamin nodded in agreement. I think so too. There must be someone behind this, which led to the situation worsening. They seem to have a plan this time. I don't know why the news was suppressed by the media. Maybe our director did something? Do you think he'd be the director? If he's that? Qin Shu glanced at her. Yes, I did. Huamin nodded and continued. I have a bad relationship with Wu Xiaoxue, a doctor from the OB/GYN department. She wanted to fire me a long time ago, but the director didn't approve of it. She's the director's niece, so she's a tyrant in the hospital. Many people don't like her, but she especially hates me. I don't think a doctor would hate a nurse for no reason, Qin Shu calmly analyzed. Huamin coughed and said in a low voice, She's Ning Ziyuan's girlfriend now, so who's Ning Ziyuan? Qin Shu never seemed to pay attention to names like these. Ahem, Ning Ziyuan is the person I was going to marry. Huamin tried her best to answer in a roundabout way. As expected, Qin Shu's face darkened when he heard this. You really know how to cause trouble for yourself. You already know they're working at the hospital. Can't you just switch to another one? Qin Shu was displeased. I didn't think she would hate me so much. But there's still something fishy about this. I don't think Wu Xiaoxue did it. Who else could it be? Qin Shu was confused. Huamin nodded. I just think that no matter how brainless Wu Xiaoxue is, she wouldn't play around with the hospital's reputation. After all, she still has to work, and her uncle will be affected. Maybe she's just trying to hurt herself and her enemy, Qin Shu guessed. Huamin shook his head again. With Wu Xiaoxue's personality, she wouldn't do something like that. Although she's arrogant and willful, she's not extreme. She wouldn't do something like hurting herself and her enemy at the same time. Plus, once this gets exposed, people will start searching for her. As the doctor on duty that night, she'll be exposed for skipping work. When that happens, she'll be like me, standing at the center of the storm. Qin Shu felt that Huamin's words made sense. He nodded, thought for a moment, and asked again. Then, other than Wu Xiaoxue, do you have any other suspects? Chapter 176. Yes, there is one, but it's just a guess. Do you want me to help you solve it? Huamin shook her head. Let me solve the war between women. After all, I can't be a silly wife who hides behind her husband. Huamin's unintentional words made Qin Shu happy. You still know that I'm your husband? Although he looked cold, he was secretly happy. My head still hurts. Huamin was speechless and pretended to be in pain again. Have you done a checkup? Will it hurt inside? Chin Chu was worried. Yes, it's fine. It's just a superficial wound. Then lie down for a while. I'll deal with some documents. After helping Huamin lie down on the sofa, Chin Chu opened his laptop and started working. He was going to take her out for dinner later. On the other hand, after the video was exposed, it did have a big impact on the hospital. When Wu Xiaoxue got off work, several raw eggs were thrown at her BMW. She was so angry that she wanted to curse. Those idiots. What does it have to do with me? It's Huamin's fault. Why are they blaming me? Maybe they found out that you were the doctor on duty last time? Ning Ziyuan said. No, I have to think of a way. I can't let them target me. After that, Ning Ziyuan and Wu Xiaoxue got off work together. At night, Wu Xiaoxue recorded a video and posted it on the forum. She tearfully told how she had no choice. She didn't mean to skip work. It was because she was pregnant that she didn't dare to stay up late. She was afraid that it would be unhealthy for the baby. In short, Wu Xiaoxue only had one purpose in posting the video, which was to clear her name. Soon, Wu Xiaoxue spent money to hire a lot of internet water army to defend herself. They said that pregnant women were the most important, that pregnant women had the hardest time, and so on. Then, everyone turned their attention back to Huamian. Inside a private room in a nightclub, Su Yu and a few rich kids were drinking and singing karaoke. During the banquet, someone once again invited them to talk about this matter in high spirits. After watching Wu Xiaoxue's video, Su Yu only said one sentence. Women sure know how to whitewash themselves. Hey, do you think the effect would be better if the nurse involved in the case also came out to clear her name? Would she also say that she was pregnant? Every excuse is the same. Someone has to believe it. I don't know if the hospital will push this nurse out to plead guilty in the end, but I heard that the hospital has tried their best to suppress this matter, another rich young master said. The hospital doesn't have the ability to suppress the media, young Master Su said slowly as he swirled the wine glass in his hand. Young Master Su, you're saying there's someone behind the scenes helping the nurse, or rather, helping the hospital. Su Yu only twitched the corner of his mouth and didn't say anything else at this time. A pure and sweet-looking girl leaned over and intimately nestled her head on Su Yu's shoulder. I remember telling you not to wear perfume when you see me. Su Yu furrowed his brows and looked at the girl with disgust. Young Master Su, I'm sorry. I attended the press conference for my new film today, so I don't want to hear excuses, fuck off. Su Yu waved his hand and shoved the girl away, causing her to fall to the ground. Tiaska, you really don't know how to be gentle with girls, a man on the side laughed. Gentle with girls? That's not my style. Su Yu smiled evilly and stepped on the girl's fingers as he walked away. The girl's face turned pale from the pain, but she didn't dare to make a sound. She knew that offending her sugar daddy wouldn't end well. Young Master Su's violent tendencies were well known in the industry. Oh, it looks like young Master Su is going to change his prey again, a few rich kids on the side jeered. Su Yu held his wine glass and looked at the night sky outside the window. His eyes were deep and unfathomable. After Chin Chu finished his work, he took Huamin out for dinner. When he went to the bathroom, he called President Wu. Huamin didn't know what they talked about, but when Chin Chu came back, he said, "Don't worry about the hospital. I've already made it clear that I'll negotiate with the patient's family directly." Are you going to compensate them? Huamin was a little worried. Chapter 177. Do you think I'm that stupid? Chin Chu's question made Huamin speechless. She also felt that Chin Chu was not the kind of person who would be stupid with too much money. Things had turned out like this. If she gave money as compensation, wouldn't it mean that she was the guilty party? Moreover, that family had asked for a few $1,000,000 right off the bat. In fact, they were being unreasonable. What did President Wu say? He will take care of the hospital. You don't have to worry about it. Okay, I have an appointment with those people for a negotiation at 6 o'clock in the evening. I'll send you home to rest. Do you want me to go with you? No, leave it to me. Chin Chu refused. Huamin did not insist. To be honest, she did not know what to talk about with those people. However, she had confidence in Chin Chu. He always had his own set of principles. After dinner, Huamin went home. She sent a WeChat message to Zhu Lingling for a while and then fell asleep. Qin Shu went to the appointed tea house to meet the patient's family. The pregnant woman's husband seemed to have come prepared. This time, he brought a lot of people, about 17 or 18. The private room was filled to the brim. He was probably scared of Qin Shu's beating. On the other hand, Qin Shu only brought one person with him. It was a man in his 40s. He was dressed in a suit and wore gold-rimmed glasses. He looked very gentle. No one knew where he came from. Don't waste time. Tell me your conditions. Qin Shu sat down, took off his coat, and handed it to the man behind him. Compensate me. How much do you want? Qin Shu looked at the pregnant woman's husband and asked, well, that young nurse has caused a bad impact on my wife and daughter. Mental damage compensation, medical expenses, nutrition compensation, and so on. Of course, I have to pay more. Brother, the compensation is for the deceased family. You're wrong. It's not compensation. It's consolation money. Anyway, pay the money. I'm asking you how much you want. Qin Shu controlled his temper and asked the main point again. The man thought for a moment and stretched out his fingers. 3 million. This medical accident is at least 3 million. Also, you beat me up at the police station yesterday. I've already done an injury assessment. I'm now concussed by you. I'm afraid I can't work for the rest of my life. You have to compensate me at once. If you add these two things together, you could just give me 5 million. I'm a nice person. I don't want to ask you for more. Upon hearing his words, Qin Shu glanced at him without batting an eyelid and replied coldly, you sure have the guts to speak. Of course, it's a reasonable amount. We've also consulted a lawyer. You can't fool me. This time, the hospital said that you'll be fully responsible for this matter. Originally, I wanted the hospital to pay 2 million yuan and your family to pay 1 million yuan. But you just had to take on this matter. Okay, it's only 5 million. I agree. Qin Shu nodded. The man was overjoyed. After being beaten up by Qin Shu yesterday, he was a little afraid of him. He thought that the negotiation would not go well today. He thought that if he could not ask for a sky-high price, he would slowly reduce it. Finally, he would agree even if it was 1 million. But he did not expect that the other party would not bargain at all and actually agree. Okay, then let's settle it privately. I won't go to the hospital to make a scene. Are you paying in cash or by card? The man was a little impatient. Qin Shu said slowly, there's no hurry. Your matter is settled, but the matter of my family being pushed down by you has not been settled. Oh, that matter. Okay, how about this? I'll give you 10,000 yuan as compensation for the nurse. What do you think? The man seemed to think that he was quite generous. He offered to give 10,000 yuan to Huamin as compensation for her head injury. Qin Shu did not say anything. Instead, he hooked his finger at the man in the suit behind him. Lawyer Song, you tell him what to do next. Chapter 178. Okay, sir. The man behind him nodded and took out a thick stack of documents from his folder and placed it on the table. Ms. Huamin is the family member of my client. You push her down in front of the hospital and caused her head injury. That's just a minor injury. Don't try to extort money from me. She went to the hospital for a checkup and was completely fine. Even the police know this, the man anxiously explained. Mr. Song continued, let me finish first. The police didn't pursue the matter, but my client purchased a major life insurance policy for Ms. Huamin a month ago. It's a multi-body insurance policy, and Ms. Huamin's head is insured for 50 million yuan. In other words, if Ms. Huamin was injured, regardless of whether it was man-made or a natural disaster, the insurance company has to pay for it. Then why don't you ask the insurance company for it? The man was no longer calm. If it was a natural disaster, the insurance company would naturally pay for it. However, this time, you're the one who caused it, so the insurance company will sue you. In other words, if you can't pay 50 million yuan in compensation, the insurance company will sue you for intentional assault. You will face up to 5 years in prison. What? Are you kidding me? The man was completely dumbfounded. Sorry, I never joke. As the lead lawyer of GK's legal team, Mr. Song was a man of his word. Isn't just a bump on the head? As for the compensation, are you kidding me? Why don't you just rob me? Plus, I don't believe that someone would purchase a life insurance policy for a woman's head for no reason. It doesn't make sense. It seemed like the pregnant woman's husband wasn't a hooligan. At least he could deduce whether it was scientific or not. Just then, Mr. Song seriously flipped through a page of documents and handed it to the man. You could take a closer look at this page. My client's family member, Ms. Huamin, was appraised as a genius with an IQ of 130 when she was 8 years old. She relies on her brain, so of course, she has to protect her head. Who would believe that a genius can be a nurse? The man obviously didn't believe it. Qin Shu picked up his jacket, shook off the dust, and said slowly, "You should really thank her for being a nurse. Otherwise, she wouldn't have saved your wife and daughter that night. You returned her kindness with ingratitude, so you have to bear the consequences today." Okay, my time is limited, so that's all for today. The insurance company and legal team will contact you in the future. You can think about it when you get home. Do you want to pay or go to jail? After Qin Shu spoke, Mr. Song picked up the documents and followed Qin Shu into the tall Maybach. Mr. Song, the man's brother, Mr. Song's brother, Mr. Song, of course. The man stretched his neck. After seeing the logo of the car clearly, he shouted, "What kind of luxurious car is this?" That was an M logo. It was obviously a Magotan produced by FAW Volkswagen. A car that cost more than 100,000 yuan was called a luxury car? Who were they trying to fool? I don't believe his nonsense. Let's go. The man didn't seem to take Qin Shu's words seriously. That was until he received a summons from the court that night. It turned out that the insurance company had already checked the man's family and felt that they couldn't afford the 50 million compensation. Therefore, there was no need for negotiation. They directly sued the man in court. Because of the large amount of money involved, the court was afraid that the man would run away. That night, they sent people from the prosecutor's office to arrest the man temporarily. This matter immediately stunned the pregnant woman's family. That night, when Qin Shu went out to meet with clients, he received a call from the insurance company. They politely said that the 50 million compensation had been transferred to his personal account. If you thought that Qin Shu had made a profit this time, you were very wrong. Starting from a month ago, Qin Shu would have to pay the insurance company 1 million yuan every month in insurance. Not only Huamin's head, but his hands and legs were also heavily insured. 1 million a month, all the way until Huamian turned 60. Rich people were indeed capricious. If you thought that Qin Shu paid for the insurance company's compensation, you were wrong. Because Qin Shu valued that if anyone hurt Huamin and couldn't afford to pay a huge sum, the insurance company would immediately sue them. At that time, the suspect would face jail. That was his real goal. Huamin seemed to be oblivious at home. She was eating potato chips and watching cartoons. Then, she received a call from the pregnant woman. She wailed as soon as she opened her mouth. "Huamin, I'm sorry. We were wrong. Please let my husband go." Chapter 179. Huamin knew that Qin Shu had gone out to negotiate with the patient's family because of her, but she did not expect things to progress so quickly. Before Qin Shu returned home, the pregnant woman's begging call came in. Hearing Huamin's silence, the pregnant woman cried again and said, "It's all our fault. We were too greedy and thought that we could use this opportunity to get a sum of money from the hospital. In the end, we were blinded by profit, but we really know that we were wrong. Please give us a chance. My 2 children can't live without a father. I'm really afraid of losing him. If he really goes to jail, then everything will be ruined." Hearing the word jail, Huamin's heart was a little moved. She did not know what method Qin Shu had used. However, it was definitely very decisive. Otherwise, the pregnant woman would not have cried like this. Let me think about this. Huamin was physically and mentally exhausted. She had been entangled in this matter for the past few days and was extremely irritated. She did not want to make any promises to the pregnant woman because she did not know how far Qin Shu had gone. She simply hung up the phone first. Then, the pregnant woman sent a lot of text messages. Most of them were words of praise and begging. Huamin actually did not sympathize with the pregnant woman at this moment. She only felt that if she had known this would happen, she would not have done it in the first place. If Qin Shu did not have the ability to deal with the aftermath for her, would they be so kind as to let her go? If she let them go, then who would clear her innocence? Moreover, this matter involved so many people. When Qin Shu came back, Huamin had already prepared dinner. It was a combination of meat and vegetables, and it looked, smelled, and tasted good. As long as Huamin cooked, Qin Shu's appetite would be very good. He would eat 2 bowls of rice in one go. During dinner, Huamin ate slowly while secretly glancing at Qin Shu. "Do you have something to say to me?" Qin Shu asked. "Ahem. You eat quite a lot, but you don't seem to be fat at all. Do you have any secret to maintaining your figure?" Qin Shu looked at Huamin helplessly and said, "I'll give you one more chance. If you don't get to the point, I'm going to have a video conference in the study." Because he was busy with Huamin's matter, the month-end summary meeting of the 7 branch companies was postponed. There was a lot of work waiting for him to deal with, so he didn't have time to discuss with Huamin how to maintain his figure. Seeing that Qin Shu was so direct, Huamin did not intend to beat around the bush. "How did you deal with that family? His wife called me today and begged me." "They reaped what they sowed," Qin Shu said coldly. "I think so too. I heard that the man was going to jail. He did push me down that day, but the police took me to the hospital for an evaluation. Gaoran knows that I'm fine." "So, why is the man going to jail? Extortion?" Huamin thought that Qin Shu's legal team was so powerful, so he was probably using this as an excuse. Extortion is not enough. Even if he was sentenced, it would only be 2 to 3 years. It's not interesting. Then he is. Huamin wanted to say something, but he stopped. "This matter is already over. You don't have to ask. Anyways, if you have any problems in the future, you must tell me." Qin Shu did not seem to want to say too much to Huamin, nor did he want to tell Huamin about the 10 million yuan insurance policy. He just quietly did everything for her. Seeing that Qin Shu did not want to say anything, Huamin did not dare to ask anymore. Qin Shu always had his reasons for doing things. Before the video conference began, Qin Shu made a phone call. An hour later, all the major media outlets revealed the truth. They publicly criticized the pregnant woman and her husband for being crazy. At the same time, they described Huamin as a high and mighty figure. Although he was not a doctor, he had a high level of professionalism. Huamin went from a criminal to a celebrity overnight. In front of the TV, the pregnant woman cried and confessed, "Our whole family has wronged Huamin. We repay kindness with ingratitude. This is our retribution. We only hope that Huamin can forgive us and give us a chance to turn over a new leaf." Huamin only took a hot bath. When she came out, her phone was about to explode with calls. She read the head nurse's message first. "Huamin, watch the evening news." Chapter 180. After reading the head nurse's message, she immediately turned on the TV in the living room and saw the live evening news. The pregnant woman was interviewed and apologized to Huamin in front of everyone on TV. She revealed the truth of what happened that night, and even showed the test results to prove that she didn't suffer from any sequelae. She and her husband were greedy and wanted to scam Huamin out of money, so they framed him. As soon as she said that, everyone immediately condemned her. In the city's first forum, the account that had been exposing this incident and constantly attacking Huamin and the first hospital was also quietly deleted. Many reporters somehow got Huamin's phone number and kept calling Huamin until his phone almost exploded. Huamin was speechless when she saw that there were more than 200 missed calls. She lay on the bed in the bedroom and used her phone to send WeChat messages to Zhu Lingling, Huang Yu, and the head nurse. The truth was finally out. Of course, she knew that this was all because of Qin Shu's intervention. If it weren't for Qin Shu, no one would have been able to settle this matter so quickly. When Qin Shu finished his meeting, it was already midnight. After he took a shower, he walked into the room in his pajamas. Huamin was already asleep. He gently climbed onto the bed and pulled the blanket over her before lying down beside her. He knew how powerful the media was. If anyone dared to use public opinion to bully his wife in the future, there were only 3 words for him to say: kill without mercy. He looked at Huamin's face as she slept. Her rosy cheeks and slightly curled eyelashes were as quiet as a baby's. Qin Shu's heart almost melted when he looked at her. His eyes were full of love. He carefully left a light kiss on her cheek and whispered in her ear, "Good night." The next morning, after breakfast, Qin Shu went to work while Huamin packed up and went to the hospital. The 3-day holiday was almost over, and the matter had settled down. It was time to return to work at the hospital. However, she did not expect that as soon as she arrived at the entrance of the first hospital, the pregnant woman rushed out of nowhere, knelt on the ground, and hugged Huamin's thigh tightly. "What are you doing? Get up quickly." Huamin was shocked. "Huamin, I beg you, let us go. We really know that we were wrong. I already explained everything in front of the media last night. I beg you to let my husband go. My child and I can't live without him." After saying this, the woman started crying again. "You're still in confinement. Why are you here? Let's talk in private." Huamin reached out to support her. Unexpectedly, the woman refused to get up and said to the media not far away, "If you don't promise me, I will kneel here today and not get up." After speaking, the woman turned to a 7 or 8-year-old girl and an old lady with a baby in her arms and said, "Come here and kneel in front of her. Ask her to save your father." Hearing this, the old lady knelt down with the baby in her arms. The little girl didn't seem to understand what was going on, so she also knelt on the ground. The entire family knelt in front of the hospital. Huamin did not expect her to do this. "Get up, I forgive you. As for your husband, I will find a way to get him out." In front of the media, Huamin had no choice but to relent. If he pitied this woman before, then at this moment, he no longer had a good impression of her. She was a completely manipulative bitch. If she really wanted to apologize, she should have gone to Huamin in private. Why did she have to make such a big fuss? Who was she trying to show it to? At this point, she still had to use public pressure to force Huamin. Huamin was speechless. "Really? Thank you, Huamin. You're such a good person. But you have to tell me, who's behind all of this?" Huamin asked calmly. The woman was slightly stunned. Chapter 181. Is this really? Before the woman could finish her explanation, Huamin interrupted impatiently. "Don't play games with me. Let's make a deal. Tell me who she is, and I'll find a way to get your husband to come out. Then we'll call it even." Seeing that Huamin was determined, the woman stood up and whispered something into Huamin's ear. Huamin nodded. Then he turned to the media and said, "Friends from the media, thank you for following this incident. Actually, the cause of this incident was very simple. I just wanted to save someone, but things have turned out this way. During this period of time, I've caused a negative impact on the hospital, so I would like to apologize to President Wu. If he didn't always believe in me and support me, I wouldn't be where I am today. At the same time, I would like to thank my family for supporting me when I was at my most helpless. They helped me uncover the truth and cleared my name. Anyway, please don't report on this incident in the future. Thank you." After that, Huamin turned around and walked into the hospital. The incident had officially come to an end. Huamin's words at the entrance of the hospital were broadcasted on all the major media platforms. Qin Shu was looking through financial documents in his office. When he heard Huamin's voice, he slowly raised his head and stared at the TV. Since Yang had met Huamin before, he vaguely guessed that the nurse involved in this incident was his boss's sweetheart. So, when the live broadcast started, he turned on the TV like a lackey. Sure enough, he attracted the attention of his boss. When he saw Huamin thanking his family, Qin Shu's eyes softened. Was she finally willing to admit his existence? "Boss, my sister-in-law is getting married the day after tomorrow. Can I take the morning off? I'll come back after lunch." Yang immediately made a request while his boss was in a good mood. "I'll give you a day off. Go ahead." "Thank you, boss." Yang was instantly overjoyed. It was a good idea to make a request when his boss was in a good mood. Inside the dean's office, Wu Xiaoxue said angrily, "Uncle, this incident has caused a negative impact on the hospital. You must fire Huamin. Otherwise, it's hard to guarantee that such a thing won't happen again." "I know what I'm doing. You don't have to repeat yourself." "Uncle, I really don't understand. Huamin is just a nurse. Why are you so protective of her? Did she give you a gift? Wu Xiaoxue was angry, so she spoke without thinking. President Wu's face darkened. Xiaoxue, don't mess around. This is not your home. This is the hospital. I am President Wu, not your uncle. I'm not convinced. I want you to fire Huamin. Huamin definitely won't be able to open it. If there's nothing else, you can leave. He waved his hand and dismissed Wu Xiaoxue. Wu Xiaoxue was so angry that she turned around and left. She slammed the door hard in protest of her uncle's decision. The dean's male assistant asked, "Dean, why don't you just tell Miss Wu what you're worried about?" The power of the person behind Huamin. Telling her would only cause more trouble. It's better not to. President Wu had protected Huamin time and time again because he admired her talent. But in the end, he was still worried about Qin Shu's existence. His idiot niece kept clamoring for Huamin to be fired. If he really did that, then he would be an idiot. When Huamin returned to the hospital, everything was calm and peaceful. The OB/GYN department was back to its usual busy state. After work, she did not go straight home. Instead, she went to an address given to her by a pregnant woman. Sure enough, she saw the woman's back from afar. She was wearing revealing clothes and her, but swayed as she walked. She quietly followed behind her until she reached the corridor. She quickly walked up and blocked her way. "Hi, He-Man, long time no see." Huamin smiled. "Huamin, why are you here?" Huamin's eyes were filled with fear. Chapter 182. You didn't expect me to find you so quickly, did you? What do you mean? I don't understand. He-Man turned her head away, feeling a little guilty. Actually, I'm quite confused. Why do you have to be so hostile towards me? It seems like Ning Ziyuan is the one who hurt you. Every injustice has its perpetrator, and every debt has its debtor. Why do you have to do something so despicable behind my back? I don't understand what you're talking about. Move aside, I want to go home. He-Man didn't seem to want to talk to Huamin any longer. However, Huamin stood in front of her, with no intention of moving aside. You're pretty good. You set up a trap and fooled everyone. That couple was fooled by you, and Wu Xiaoxue even took the blame. Then, you set me up and put me at the center of the storm. You really killed two birds with one stone. Unfortunately, you underestimated me, Huamin. What evidence do you have to say that I did it? Isn't it true that you secretly operated on a pregnant woman? He-Man sneered. It's true that it's the truth, but it's not good if someone distorts the truth. Yuan Finfin already told me the truth. You probably didn't expect me to find you so quickly. You thought that your plan was very thorough, right? Words are no proof. I won't admit it. You can't do anything to me. He-Man raised her head. She seemed to know that even if the plan was exposed, she would shirk all responsibility. When the time came, she would just let the couple take the blame. In the past, I thought that you were quite pitiful because of all the tragedies that happened to you. Now, I think that a woman like you should experience those tragedies because it's retribution, Huamin said word by word. Perhaps because Huamin angered her, He-Man immediately raised her head and tried to hit Huamin. However, Huamian blocked her with one hand and pinned her against the wall with the other hand, choking her with the other. I hate despicable people who play tricks behind their backs the most. Either you challenge me directly, or you scram far away from me. He-Man, you might not know this, but if I want you to live a life worse than death, I have 1,000 ways to do so. This is a warning. Next time, I won't be so gentle. Remember this, or else your end will only be worse than now. After speaking, Huamin released his grip, turned around, and left. He-Man only felt that her legs were still trembling. For a moment, she really thought that she was going to die. Huamin gripped her neck tightly. His grip was so strong that she almost suffocated. However, Huamin's control of his strength was just right. When she was about to die, he let go of her. She had never seen Huamin's eyes before. She used to think that Huamin was easy to deal with, and that Wu Xiaoxue was the troublesome one. Now, it seemed that Wu Xiaoxue was a simple-minded idiot, and Huamin was the terrifying opponent. After He-Man resigned, she still kept in touch with the nurses at the hospital. After she accidentally heard about Huamin's surgery, she wanted to take the opportunity to take revenge on the hospital. At the same time, she wanted to ruin Wu Xiaoxue and Huamin's reputation. Of course, after everything was over, Yuan Finfin's husband promised to give her 100,000 yuan as compensation. That was why she came up with this plan. She didn't think that not only would her plan fail, but Huamin would also find out about it. The warning just now really scared her. She didn't dare to imagine how a person like Huamin would fall in love with a useless piece of trash like Ning Ziyuan. The next morning, as soon as Huamin arrived at the hospital, Huang Yu grabbed her hand and said, "Senior, did you see the announcement from the hospital? You've been transferred to the South Recuperation Area under the hospital." "I know. Then how can you still laugh? The South Recuperation Area is the most difficult place to work in history. No one wants to go there. Go find the head nurse and ask her to help you talk to the director. Don't be transferred there." I was the one who told the director that I wanted to be transferred to the South Recuperation Area. Huamin smiled slightly. "What? You asked for it? Are you crazy? Senior, why do you want to go to the South Recuperation Area?" Huang Yu was completely dumbfounded. The South Recuperation Area, as the management unit of the first hospital, was famous for being difficult to deal with. That was because the people who lived there were all big shots in the province, rich people and super rich people. Those people were very difficult to deal with. It was often heard that medical staff were beaten and scolded. It was said that last month, there was a doctor who said something wrong and had 4 of his teeth knocked out by a patient. In the end, the case was left unsettled. The patient had money, so they paid him to keep his mouth shut. Huang, you didn't understand. Why would Huamin want to go to such a notorious place? Chapter 183. I just feel that I wouldn't be able to stay even if the director allows me to. But I don't want to transfer to another hospital either. After all, a good leader like President Wu is rare, and the South is under the director's management. I just mentioned it to him, and he was against it at first. He was worried that I wouldn't be able to handle the work pressure there, but he agreed in the end because I insisted. But you don't have to torture yourself like this. Senior, if you don't want to stay in this hospital, you can apply to transfer to the Western Infertility Area. I heard that there's a shortage of manpower there, Huang Yu suggested. Huamian immediately waved her hand. When I was working in the OB-GYN department, although it was tiring, it was relaxing because we were welcoming new lives every day. If I were to go to the West, I might as well be dead. Seeing so many couples without children running to the hospital all day long and suffering, I think I would be depressed after a while. The working environment has a lot to do with one's mood. There are a lot of people in the Southside Recuperation Center doing rehabilitation, so the work pressure isn't that great. Plus, I heard that the pay there is the highest, 3 times my monthly salary here. Huamin wasn't lying. Huamin hadn't become an official employee yet, so she only made about 2,000 yuan a month. But it was said that a nurse in the Southern Recuperation Area could make 6,000 to 7,000 yuan a month. But thinking about it, serving those rich people naturally had to be paid well. Otherwise, who would be willing to do such hard work? Come on, you're not someone who cares about the monthly salary. You only know how to brush me off. Although Huang, you didn't know why Huamin insisted on going to the southern area, she knew that it wasn't for the money. Huamin smiled and didn't say anything else. Huang Yu reluctantly put her arms around her neck. Senior, I'll miss you a lot. After working with you for so long, I really can't bear to let you go. If it wasn't for the bad reputation in the southern area, I really want to take you with me. Forget it, I'm not going. I'd rather resign than go to the southern area. Huang Yu immediately waved her hand. Huamin joked, but I heard that many young and beautiful nurses are willing to go there to find a rich husband. Forget about the rich husband. It's not that easy to marry into a rich family. Most of them end up being someone's mistress or plaything. They pay for it with money, but we pay for it with our feelings. I won't do such an unfair deal. It's not worth it. Huamian patted Huang Yu's shoulder happily. You're right. People shouldn't be too greedy. It's not easy to stay in a rich family. Look at those actresses on TV. After they marry into rich families, they don't dare to complain about domestic violence. They can only endure it. Instead of living a life of oppression, it's better to live a carefree life. Huomin nodded. Huomin's transfer to the southern area was announced to the hospital. At the same time, she was promoted to an official employee. She was no longer an intern. Her colleagues in the OB/GYN department, the head nurse, and Chief Han from the laboratory suggested that they have dinner with Huomin to say goodbye. Huomin couldn't refuse their kindness, so she booked a hotel in advance and went there with everyone after work. During dinner, she sent a message to Qin Shu to tell him that she would be back later. She didn't receive a reply. After dinner, everyone was in high spirits and went to karaoke. By the time they were done, it was already 11 o'clock at night. After Huomin sent everyone off, she reached out to hail a taxi. Unexpectedly, before the taxi could reach her, a Maybach took her lane. Huh? Are all taxis so luxurious these days? Huomin mumbled to herself drunkenly. How much did you drink? You can't even recognize my car? Qin Shu rolled down the window with a dark face. Chapter 184. When Qin Shu got out of the car, Huomin recognized him and giggled. Hey, it's you. Why are you here? Qin Shu's face darkened, and he didn't say anything. He picked up Huomin and put him in the passenger seat. Then, he put on the seatbelt and drove away. When Qin Shu came back from work, it was almost 10 o'clock. He even went to the Qin family's mansion today. His father was interested in a 5 billion yuan project, so he wanted to discuss it with Qin Shu. In the end, the father and son had different opinions, and the discussion fell apart. When Qin Shu came out, he called Huomin's phone. At that time, Huomin went to the washroom, and Huan Yu picked up. Huan Yu had drunk a lot, so she vaguely told him the address of the karaoke club. Then, Qin Shu knew that he was there. He waited at the door for about an hour before Huomin came out. She was walking like an S, but she still had the time to take a taxi for someone else. She waited for everyone to leave before it was her turn. How crazy was his wife? Wasn't she afraid of being robbed and raped by those unlicensed taxi drivers? How could she call herself a genius? Didn't she have any sense of safety? She couldn't believe that he let the pregnant woman's husband go because she thanked him passionately on TV and got the insurance company to withdraw the lawsuit. He was so considerate of her, but she drank herself into a drunken cat. Drink some water first. Qin Shu opened a bottle of Evian water and handed it to her. Huomin gulped down 2 mouthfuls of water and then spat it out. She spat it all on the driver's seat and spilled it all over Qin Shu's pants. This was a limited edition Versace pants that cost more than 100,000 yuan. More importantly, Qin Shu was a germaphobe. How could you spit on him? Was it really okay? Huomin. Qin Shu gritted his teeth and roared. Here! Damn it! You're not allowed to drink in the future. Qin Shu didn't know what to say after holding back for a long time. He wanted to scold her, but he couldn't bear to do it. In the end, he could only warn her not to drink in the future. It was really an eye-opener for him to see how quickly one could get drunk. No, I like it. It's delicious. Haha, red wine mixed with Sprite tastes better than black tea. Huomin leaned back in his seat and mumbled. Qin Shu was too lazy to say more. He stepped on the accelerator, and the car quickly overtook the other car. They arrived in a few minutes. After getting out of the car, Qin Shu carried Huomin and went upstairs without saying a word. In the bathroom on the 2nd floor. After filling the tub with water, he tossed Huomin into the tub. Give me a good soak. Qin Shu's face was full of anger. I want bubbles. Why aren't there any bubbles here? Huomin pursed his lips and started splashing water with his hands. Qin Shu controlled his temper. He picked up the shower gel and poured it in. Instantly, white bubbles appeared. Qin Shu squatted down and reached out to test the water temperature. It was just right. He was about to get up. Huomin suddenly splashed the water, splashing Qin Shu all over. Qin Shu angrily pressed down on Huomin's arms in the water and warned, Don't move. Take a good bath. Huh, your eyelashes are so beautiful. After speaking, Huomin leaned over and placed his warm lips on Qin Shu's eyelashes, gently teasing them. Qin Shu felt like his inner line of defense was collapsing little by little. He really wanted to have her right here, right now, but she was drunk and not sober. He definitely couldn't. That was what he thought, but his body couldn't move even half a step. Let me tell you a secret, Qin Shu. Do you know what I thought when I first saw you? Huamin drunkenly leaned her head on Qin Shu's shoulder and sniffed randomly. Qin Shu's heart skipped a beat. He seemed to be anticipating this answer. Would her answer be the same as his? Did she think he was her husband when she first saw him? Chapter 185. At the time, I was wondering who would be so unlucky to marry such a handsome man. Ha. After saying this, Huamin giggled. She didn't even notice that Qin Shu's face had turned green. Was it so unlucky to be his wife? How could she say that he was handsome? This damn girl was getting bolder as she got older. If Huamin wasn't drunk, he would have thrown her out of the 16th floor. Ugh. Huamin couldn't help but vomit again. This time, Qin Shu wasn't spared. However, compared to the last time, he was much calmer and wasn't angry anymore. He took off all of Huamin's clothes and threw them into the bathroom in another room. After taking a shower for her, he took a shower himself. Finally, he used the automatic washing machine to wash their dirty clothes. It was already 2 in the morning when they did this last night. Qin Shu got into bed tiredly and saw that Huamin was already sleeping like a pig. He sighed slightly. Perhaps he owed her in his previous life. No matter how angry he was, as long as he saw her, his anger would immediately disappear. The next morning, when Huamin woke up, Qin Shu had already prepared a Western breakfast. There were sandwiches, fried eggs, and warm milk. Ugh. Last night, Huamin said awkwardly. Last night when I picked you up, you vomited twice in my car and in the bathroom. I took off your clothes for you, washed your bath, and dried your dirty clothes, Qin Shu said in one breath. Huamin's face became redder and redder as he listened. He actually helped her take a shower. Didn't that mean he saw everything? Last night, you seemed to have a hard time. Huamin sat at the dining table and slowly drank the warm milk. If you know it was hard for me, you should drink less in the future. Actually, I didn't drink that much, haha. Huamin laughed. Of course, if Qin Shu found out that she drank 3 bottles of red wine, 2 bottles of beer, and 1 bottle of wine, Qin Shu would definitely beat her to death. I don't have to go to work today. It's Sunday, so I'm off. Starting tomorrow, I'll be working at the South Recuperation Center, Huamin said slowly. Qin Shu wasn't interested in her job transfer. He only nodded. The South is a bit far. I need to change the car twice. It'll take about 45 minutes. Huamin didn't think it was hard at all. So, Qin Shu's Huamian's suddenly Huamian's. Huamian felt guilty and didn't dare to say anything else. I won't object to you working at night. After all, it's your job and your freedom. But I respect you, and you have to respect me. So what do you mean? How should I respect you? Huamin could tell that Qin Shu was implying something. You could drive the white Volkswagen CC. It'll save you a lot of time when you drive to and from work. If you take the South Ring Highway, it'll only take you 18 minutes. But Huamin didn't seem to want to drive to work in such a high-profile manner. It's settled then, Qin Shu announced before Huamin could finish. After dinner, let's go out for a bit. Where are we going? Huamin was surprised. Gao Ran wants to treat us to dinner. Huh? But I've already made plans to have dinner with Lingling, Huamian said awkwardly. Sure, the 4 of us can eat together, Qin Shu suggested. Eat together? Is that really okay? Huamin was surprised by Qin Shu's suggestion. Chapter 186. Although Huamin felt that it was weird for the 4 of them to eat together, Qin Shu insisted, so she didn't say anything. Qin Shu had booked the restaurant. It was Phoenix Restaurant, an ancient and traditional restaurant. The decor was also very classical. Most of the dishes were smoked and roasted. The specialty was the secret salted crispy chicken. It was said that the restaurant's secret ingredient was marinated for a day and a night, then slowly roasted over a small fire until it was golden brown. It was crispy on the outside and tender on the inside. The aroma could be smelled from afar. It was also a must-order dish for every customer here. Qin Shu had always been resourceful. When he ate in this restaurant, there were usually no seats available. Qin Shu and the other three not only had seats, but they also sat in the best private room. After that, they ordered more than a dozen specialties. When Gao Ran and Zhu Lingling arrived, they coincidentally met downstairs. They hadn't seen each other for a long time, so they naturally had to be sarcastic when they saw each other. Gao Ran's black Jaguar took up 2 parking spaces. Zhu Lingling's Mazda had no place to park, so it was inevitable that she would complain. Just as she was about to get out of the car to reason with the owner, she saw Gao Ran. "Why are you here?" Zhu Lingling frowned. "Hi, Zhu Lingling, long time no see." Gao Ran knew in advance that he was going to eat with Zhu Lingling and Huamin, so he wasn't surprised at all. "Hurry up and move your broken car. It's taking up 2 parking spaces. How rude are you? Didn't you say that you were boycotting Japanese products when we were in school? Why did you buy a Japanese car?" Gao Ran retorted. Zhu Lingling rolled her eyes at him and said, "When the 8-nation alliance invaded China, Britain and America were the most active. Why did you buy a Jaguar?" "Haha, you don't understand, right? The Jaguar was sold to India by Ford during the 2008 financial crisis. It's now an Indian car. Please explain it to me later." "An Indian car?" Zhu Lingling glared at Gao Ran and reversed the car. Coincidentally, a car was leaving, so she stopped. Gao Ran and Zhu Lingling entered the private room one after the other. Huamin smiled and said, "It's been so long since we last met. Didn't you two catch up? How is that possible? I'm not familiar with this egomaniac." Zhu Lingling immediately tried to clear her name. Gao Ran glanced at her. "You speak as if I pursued you before. Don't think that you're superior just because you're a stewardess. That's still better than you stinky cops. You take our taxpayers' money and do nothing." As expected, the two of them quarreled as soon as they met. Huamin felt a headache coming on. Damn Qin Shu for coming up with such a rotten idea. But now, he was leisurely playing with his phone and watching the show. "Have you ordered?" Gao Ran asked. Huamin nodded and said to the waiter at the door, "You can serve the dishes now. I said that I'll pay the bill today." "Chu, don't fight with me," Gao Ran said righteously. "Okay, I definitely won't fight with you." Qin Chu's mouth twitched. He was in a good mood. When she heard that Gao Ran was paying the bill, Zhu Lingling rolled her eyes and shouted, "Waiter, do you have red wine?" "Yes, ma'am. Which one would you like?" "I want the most expensive one. 1 bottle." "Okay, please wait a moment." Zhu Lingling looked down and flipped through the menu. She found that the most expensive red wine cost 3,888 yuan a bottle. Gao Ran smiled and said, "Is 1 bottle enough? How about another?" "Who's afraid?" "Waiter, give me 2 bottles of that wine." Zhu Lingling said angrily, "You can order a few bottles, but I hate wasting. I hope you can finish them all." Gao Ran smiled evilly. "Of course. Lingling, can you finish it?" Huamin secretly tugged at the corner of her shirt. "Even if I can't finish it, there's still you, the god of wine, right? I heard that you guys drank a lot last night. How many bottles did you drink this time? Did you drink more than 5? Huamin immediately covered Zhu Lingling's mouth with his hand, indicating that she shouldn't say anything more. He was afraid that someone would explode. At this moment, Qin Shu put away his phone and said word by word, "People who can't handle alcohol, well, should have some self-awareness. Don't force yourself." "Huh? Were you drunk last night? Did you forget yourself?" Zhu Lingling looked at Huamin with an evil expression. Before Huamin could answer, Gao Ran suddenly interrupted, "So the two of you must have been very intense last night? I want to know what position you used. Was it the man on top and the woman on the bottom, or the woman on top and the man on the bottom?" Chapter 187. Huamin angrily glared at Gao Ran and asked, "As a police officer, is it really okay for you to be so dirty?" Qin Chu faintly said, "The quality of China's police force really needs to be improved." The husband and wife echoed each other and belittled Gao Ran. Gao Ran wasn't angry. Instead, he smiled and said, "Stop talking nonsense. You haven't answered me yet." "Answer your ass. We're very pure. It's not what you think it is. It's not what I think it is. Then it's like this? Traditional positions?" Gao Ran's curiosity was off the charts. He was guessing the couple's private matters in public. It was outrageous. Lingling, look at this guy. Isn't he still as mean as before? It's such a pity that he's a police officer. He should be a paparazzi. I bet he can make celebrities cry. Huamin sighed. He thought that Zhu Lingling would say a few words for him and rebuke Gao Ran, who knew that she would say, Gao Ran isn't wrong. This time, Huamin was completely speechless. You two have a lot of chemistry. Why don't you two be husband and wife? Qin Shu glared at Zhu Lingling. He suddenly remembered that a few days ago, because of her phone call, he ruined the beautiful scene. He was so angry that his teeth were itching. Forgive me. Who would want a woman like you? Gao Ran immediately retorted. Don't worry. Even if you kneel down and beg me, I won't marry you. Even if all the men in the world died and there was only you and a pig left, I still wouldn't choose you, Zhu Lingling said through gritted teeth. Gao Ran burst out laughing. Then your taste is quite heavy. Zhu Lingling wanted to continue arguing, but Huamin reached out and stopped her. If they didn't stop it, they wouldn't be able to eat this meal. It was all Qin Shu's bad idea. Why did they have to eat together? After the meal, Huamin and Zhu Lingling were supposed to act alone. However, Qin Shu didn't seem to have any intention of leaving. Shall we split up here? Huamin suggested. Where are you going? Before Huamin could speak, Zhu Lingling said, we both want to go to Hero Valley. It must be very exciting, huh? Hero Valley? Qin Shu seemed to have never heard of this place. Gao Ran immediately explained, oh, that place. It's known as the second largest amusement park in Asia. I heard that the giant group invested more than 5 billion to build it. There's something like the longest roller coaster in Asia. Many children like to play there. Let's get in the car. Qin Shu glanced at Huamin and said, what's going on? Huamin was dumbfounded. Did Qin Shu mean that he had to go as well? In the end, the four of them drove 3 cars to Hero Valley. Because it was the weekend, there were a lot of people. Huamin decided to save time, so he didn't line up one by one. Instead, he chose the drop tower and roller coaster. After the 4 of them got off the roller coaster, Gao Ran's legs turned to jelly. His face was pale, and he wanted to throw up. What? Are you scared? Is there anything more exciting? Zhu Lingling laughed. Are you okay? Huamin looked at Qin Shu worriedly. Qin Shu looked calm on the surface, but on the inside, he was devastated. However, he wouldn't show it, especially in front of his wife and his wife's best friend. Let's go to the drop tower. I heard that it has a height of 88 meters. Just thinking about it makes me excited, Zhu Lingling said. You guys are too strong. I'm not going. I'll take photos for you guys. Gao Ran begged for mercy. Qin Shu didn't say anything. He just followed Huamin silently. When they got off the drop tower, Zhu Lingling and Huamin's lips turned purple. She was sure that if they had a heart attack, they would die immediately. It was too scary. The feeling of going up and down, and then losing your center of gravity was too exciting. Fortunately, Qin Shu persisted until the end. As long as Huamin wanted to go, he didn't seem to have any objections. After that, the 4 of them found a Thai restaurant to eat. During the meal, Gao Ran suddenly asked, I heard that you got the insurance company to withdraw the lawsuit and let that scumbag go, right? Yes. Qin Shu nodded. Insurance company? Huamin raised his head. He was a little sensitive when he heard this word. Don't tell me you don't know. Know what? Huamin asked. Gao Ran glanced at Qin Shu, then looked at Huamin and said, your husband paid over 10 million yuan for your life insurance. Don't tell me you don't know. Clang. Huamin's fork fell on the plate. She didn't expect Gao Ran's words. Chapter 188. What's going on? What's 10 million insurance? It sounds cool. Zhu Lingling interjected excitedly. Huamin glanced sideways at Qin Shu. What is it? It's nothing. It's just an accident insurance policy for you. How much is the policy? Huamin asked. It's only tens of millions. Only tens of millions? Rich people are really capricious. Zhu Lingling was flabbergasted. Why do you have to pay for this? You're already so rich. Why do you still need the insurance company to compensate you? Huamin frowned. He didn't quite understand Qin Shu's logic. Gao Ran rushed to answer. You don't understand. Chu, It's not because you want the insurance company to compensate you. If you get injured in an accident and the other party can't come up with a huge amount of compensation, the insurance company will sue you. When the time comes, the court will decide that it's intentional assault. The light punishment will be a few years in jail, while the serious punishment could be a few decades. After hearing Gao Ran's words, Huamin and Zhu Lingling were both dumbfounded. Huamin finally understood why the pregnant woman's husband was detained. It was because of the insurance policy. So, when you hurt your head this time, your husband put a heavy insurance policy on your head. If the other party can't come up with $50 million, they'll have to go to jail for at least 5 to 10 years. The insurance company will also compensate you. So, you have to be careful when you walk in the future. If you bump into anything, the insurance company will cry, Gao Ran said with a smile. Huamin looked at Qin Shu in silence. Qin Shu acted as if this matter had nothing to do with him. He took out his phone and looked at the company's emails. Zhu Lingling gave him a thumbs up and praised, China's best husband. You didn't tell me these things. Huamin pouted. He felt wronged. You don't need to know these things. You just need to know that no matter who hurts you in the future, they won't have a good ending. Qin Shu looked up and said word by word. If you spoil her like this, won't she cheat on you and cheat on you? Gao Ran joked. Then, Huamin and Qin Shu looked at him with murderous gazes at the same time. After dinner, they all went home. After Huamin made her bed, she couldn't calm on her mind. It was unbelievable that Qin Shu had given her such a huge insurance policy. Why did this person do things so unconventionally? Just as she was thinking, Qin Shu opened the door and handed her a bunch of keys. Take this, drive it tomorrow. Qin Shu, don't be too nice to me. You're my wife. If I don't treat you well, who else would I treat well? Qin Shu said confidently. But if you're so nice to me, I'll be proud. Then keep being proud. As long as you're happy, you can do whatever you want. Qin Shu, Huamin wanted to say, if you're so nice to me, how could I bear to part with you when we get divorced? But she didn't say it. If she brought up divorce at a time like this, wouldn't Qin Shu be disappointed? The next morning, after breakfast, the couple went out together. Huamin drove a white Volkswagen CC. It was very eye-catching, even though it wasn't a luxury car. But the design was definitely cool. At the fork in the road, Qin Shu was supposed to turn, but he continued to follow behind Huamin. Huamin took out her earphones and dialed Qin Shu's number. You're going the wrong way. This is the road to Duga, not the company. You can turn around from the turn in front. After you get back to the main road, you can head towards New Moon Road. I know. Then why did you go the wrong way? Are you out of your mind, Mr. Qin? Huamin was speechless at Qin Shu's arrogant reply. Chapter 189. I'm going to meet a client at South Ring Road. Oh, I see. Huamin hung up the phone and focused on driving. Qin Shu didn't leave until the car drove into Southside Recuperation Center. Actually, he wasn't meeting a client. He was just worried because it was Huamin's first day driving. Huamin was originally worried that a nurse driving to work would cause gossip. She only realized that she was wrong when she arrived at Southside. The other nurses who came to work all drove luxury cars, such as BMWs, Land Rovers, and Mercedes-Benz GLK. In comparison, her Volkswagen was shabby. Why were the nurses here so rich? The answer was obvious. Most of the nurses here were young and beautiful. When they took care of the patients, they were either mistresses or mistresses. Some even provided special services in the hospital. Even President Wu couldn't control this, because the people in the recuperation center were all influential people. If they were willing to buy, they were willing to sell. They had already formed a mature industry chain. Of course, there were also some nurses who were really just nurses, so they had to do dirty and tiring work all day long without earning much money. Huamin was one of those nurses who had a hard time. After she went upstairs, she first reported to the head nurse. The head nurse of Southside Recuperation Center was a woman in her early 30s. She was young and beautiful, and her chest was at least 36D. Her voice was also very gentle, and her name was also very pleasant to the ear. Song Lin, she said, Huamin, I heard about what happened to you, and saw you on the news. You saved that pregnant woman and her child. You're amazing. Thank you, head nurse. Work hard here from now on. You just have to remember, you'd rather suffer than offend the patients here. If you remember this, your salary will be very high. Hwamin didn't quite understand what she said. Head nurse, I want to ask, which department am I assigned to? Hwamin couldn't wait to get to work. The orthopedics department is short on people, so you can help out there for now. Okay, I'll head over now. Wait, is there anything else? Head nurse, a very important patient was admitted to the orthopedics department yesterday. You have to take care of him carefully when you're on duty. Don't make any mistakes. Don't blame me for not reminding you. If you offend him, even President Wu can't protect you, let alone me. All right, I'll do my best. Hwamin felt that as long as the patient did not deliberately cause trouble, she could pacify them. Most of the patients in the hospital were anxious. This was understandable. After all, they were not feeling well. Therefore, Hwamin was very patient. When she was in the obstetrics and gynecology department, she took care of the pregnant women diligently. Patients from the orthopedics department should not have any problems, right? There were a total of 10 VIP wards in the orthopedics department, but there were only 2 patients at the moment. Including Hwamin, there were 4 nurses. 2 were on the day shift, and 2 were on the night shift, which was just right. The nurse on the day shift with Hwamin was a very sweet-looking girl. Her voice was so sweet that it could melt people as soon as she opened her mouth. Hwamin thought that she was only 18 or 19 years old. Later, she found out that she was 25 years old, 1 year older than Hwamin. Hello, my name is Wang Tingting, the nurse with the childlike voice said with a smile. Hello, Tingting, my name is Hwamin. I know, you're very famous. I saw you on TV a while ago. Upon hearing this, Hwamin smiled awkwardly. That time on TV was not something to be proud of. Because of this, her mother called her and asked her to quit her job. Jishin also kept sending her WeChat messages. Fortunately, it was resolved. Otherwise, her family would have to worry about her. Did the head nurse tell you that a special patient was admitted to our department yesterday? Chapter 190. Okay. Hwamin nodded. Here's the thing. You don't have enough experience. Go take care of the other one first. That old man is a nice person and won't trouble you. I'll take care of VIP room 1. Okay. Hwamin was very satisfied with the arrangement, although she did not know that it was Tingting's selfish arrangement. There are only 4 people in our department for the time being. Because there aren't many patients, it's enough. The night shift nurses are called Nan Nan and Xiao Mei. You'll see them when the shift changes. Okay, if there's no problem, then go. The old man in room 2 slipped and fractured his bones at home. There are 3 steel nails in his knee, so it's not very convenient for him to walk. He needs support. Also, when it's time to eat, prepare vegetarian dishes for him. Don't eat meat. His blood pressure is high. Okay, Hwamin kept all these in mind. It was time for ward rounds, so she went directly to room 2. Before she could say a few words to the old man, she heard banging sounds coming from next door, followed by crying. Hwamin walked out of the ward curiously and saw Tingting standing at the door of room 1. Her eyes were red. What's wrong? It's nothing. Just do what you need to do. Tingting did not seem to want to talk much. Hwamin glanced at the door of room 1 curiously and continued with her work. The old man in room 2 was a retired cadre. It was said that he used to be a staff officer in the security department and was very powerful. He had a serious face. When Hwamin entered, he was reading a novel version of Drawing Sword. Hello, sir. I'm a new nurse. It's time to take your medicine. It's rare to see someone dressed so plainly. The old man glanced at Hwamin and said. Hwamin only realized after the old man's reminder that her work uniform was different from others. Her work uniform was brought from the first hospital. It was a very conservative white coat that was loose and did not have any sense of beauty. However, the nurses here, including the head nurse, Song Lin, were all wearing light pink miniskirts. The most important thing was that the collar was very low. It felt a little like a uniform temptation. After hearing Sir System's words, Huamin realized that he was dressed differently. During lunch break, the head nurse came over with a set of work clothes. How is it? Are you used to it? Yes. The patient's mood is very stable, and he is recovering well. That's good. Change into your work clothes. This place is different from the first hospital. After speaking, the head nurse took off her pink miniskirt. Head nurse, can I wear my own outfit? Why? Don't you think it's beautiful? No. I just think it's a little revealing. I don't like this style, Huamin said honestly. The head nurse looked at Huamin with a complicated expression. I heard that you applied to Southside on your own accord. Yes. Then didn't you come to the Southern District for a meteoric rise? You should dress boldly. Otherwise, which sugar daddy would take a fancy to you? The head nurse was straightforward. Only then did Huamin realize that the head nurse had misunderstood and thought that she was here to find a sugar daddy. You misunderstood, head nurse. I applied to come here because I wanted a change of working environment. After all, I didn't want to drag the other side down. However, I'm here to work. I didn't expect to find a sugar daddy. Plus, I have a boyfriend. Oh, I see. All right then, if that's the case, it's up to you. Hearing Huamin's words, the head nurse took away her work clothes. When it was time for the night shift, the other two young nurses came as well. However, Huamin heard that the two of them seemed to be arguing about who should go to room 1. For what he could tell, they both wanted to go to room 1. Huamin had a feeling that room 1 was probably occupied by someone important. Otherwise, Tingting would not have volunteered to go there in the morning, and the two of them fought over it in the afternoon. In the end, Nan Nan and Xiao Mei played rock, paper, scissors, and Nan Nan lost. Xiao Mei was in a great mood. She did not even eat dinner and went to room 1. That night, Huamin prepared dinner for Qin Chu. Just as he was sitting on the sofa watching TV, he received a call from Southside. Huamin, hurry up and come over. Something happened in our department. After hanging up the phone, Huamin hurriedly grabbed his jacket and went out. He happened to run into Qin Chu downstairs. Where are you going? Something happened at the hospital. I'm going to take a look. Dinner's ready. Eat it while it's hot. After speaking, Huamin left in a hurry. Qin Chu looked at the petite figure and was reluctant to part with her until she disappeared. Chapter 191. When Huamin arrived at the hospital, Xiao Mei was nowhere to be seen. Only the head nurse, Nan Nan, and Tingting were there. What happened? Where's Xiao Mei? Isn't she on a night shift? She's injured. Huamin was a little surprised to hear Tingting say this. Huamin was a little surprised. The head nurse hesitated for a moment before saying, It's like this, the patient in room 1 is a little irritable. When Xiao Mei was drawing his blood, she was too nervous and her hand trembled, causing the needle to move. In a fit of anger, the patient threw a glass vase at Xiao Mei's head. Xiao Mei was sent to the emergency room of the first hospital. That's terrible. I heard that she had to get 7 stitches on her forehead. I wonder if she'll be disfigured? Nanan seemed to be gloating. Tingting pursed her lips and said in a strange tone, I told you that room 1 wasn't that easy to stay in, and you two were fighting over it. Great. Now you're in trouble. Xiao Mei's technique was bad to begin with, but she still dared to draw young Master Su's blood. She's asking for it. But it's fine. Young Master Su has always been generous. As soon as something happened, his assistant arrived. I heard that Xiao Mei's injury will be compensated according to the number of stitches, 200,000 per stitch, the head nurse said calmly. Tingting and Nan Nan seemed to be jealous. She's so lucky to earn one. For million so easily. She even got the money for a Porsche. Looks like Xiao Mei's crappy BMW X1 is finally going to be replaced. Wait a minute. So you're looking for me because... Huamin had already gotten off work. She came here in the middle of the night, not to listen to them flaunt their wealth, but to ask how she could help. The head nurse glanced at her and said, The person in room 1 is Suyu. You must know Suyu, right? Huamin shook her head. Then, the other 3 looked at Huamin as if they were looking at a monster. Huamin, on the other hand, was calm. There were plenty of big shots in the city that she didn't know, so why would she want to know them? Are you sure? You don't know the head of the 4 princes of the Su family? Are you from the countryside? Tingting was speechless. That's right. Among the four young masters, the most famous one is Su Yu, followed by young master Huasiqian. You actually don't know him? You must be drunk. Nan also had a mocking look on her face. Huamin really wanted to say that she didn't want to know Huasiqian, but she was too lazy to mention it. She didn't want anyone to know about her relationship with the whole family. So, Su Yu is staying in room 1. So what? Huamin continued to ask. Young master, Su has a bad temper. He strained his ligament when he was racing. It's not a big deal, but the Su family takes it seriously and sent him here last night for treatment. We use the best medicine, and everything he eats is flown in from Australia. We can't make any mistakes when taking care of him. They're still young, so their skills aren't that good. You've been doing clinical trials at the first hospital, especially when you performed a C-section on a pregnant woman. So, drawing blood and giving 4 fluids shouldn't be a problem. We're thinking that you'll be in charge of these needles in the future. After the head nurse finished speaking, Huamin understood that they wanted her to do these things that no one else dared to do. In other words, the one who was most likely to offend someone was Xiao Mei. She didn't do a good job in drawing blood and was smashed by young Master Su and had to get 7 stitches. Therefore, no one else dared to do anything. Thus, they thought of the newcomer, Huamin. Seeing that Huamin didn't say anything, the head nurse continued, I won't let you do it for free. I'll ask the higher-ups to give you an extra 200 yuan a day. Yeah. Sister Huamin, you should agree, right? Otherwise, our department will really be wiped out by young Master Su. Huamin suddenly understood. Other than being young and beautiful, the other 3 nurses in the department didn't have any experience at all. They didn't even dare to draw blood. Okay, I'll do it. That's great. Seeing that Huamin agreed, the other 2 young nurses let out a sigh of relief. Then, Sister Huamin, this isn't 4 drip. You can give it to young Master Su. Tingting immediately took out a tray with syringes and in 4 drip. Huamin changed into a white coat, took the tray, and walked towards room 1. Head nurse, can she do it? A young nurse asked worriedly. Who knows? It depends on her luck. Even if she gets beaten, she won't be beaten for nothing. Young Master Su is super rich. The head nurse smiled. Chapter 192. Huamin didn't know who Su Yu was, so he wasn't as worried as the other nurses. Tingting had seen how terrifying young Master Su was this morning. He yelled at her during ward rounds, and she burst into tears. Of course, they all had their own selfish motives. They wanted to use their beauty to make young Master Su take pity on them. Why would they want to be nurses? Apparently, it was easy for young Master Su's Imperial Star Entertainment to promote a female star. Currently, 2 of the 4 most popular actresses in China were promoted by Su Yu. In short, he threw money at them. Because Su Yu was so rich, he became popular as soon as he promoted them. Not to mention the nurses, wherever Su Yu went, women would rush to him and throw themselves at him. He was different from Qin Chu. Qin Chu was low-key. Although everyone knew that GK had a prince, not many people had seen him in person. Su Yu, on the other hand, was high-profile, flamboyant, and hot-tempered. He changed women faster than he changed clothes. Not only was he the president of an entertainment company, but the Su family also controlled a lot of economic lifelines. He was one of the top 5 richest people in China for 5 years in a row. When Huamin walked to the door, Su Yu was on the phone. He had been racing for many years. He had been tinkering with cars since he was 12 or 13. He had never had an accident. This year, for some reason, he was racing in a mountainous area. His car collided with another car, and he tore his ligament. He had to rest at the Southside Recuperation Center for a while. Everyone's expenses were different here, and they were calculated according to their personal conditions. Su Yu's room was a suite. It was more than 100 square meters, and it had all the appliances and furniture. Even the bed was multifunctional. It had a private Wi-Fi network, and the seafood they ate was flown in from Australia. It was said that it cost at least 190,000 yuan a day. It was practically burning money. There were 4 bodyguards in black suits outside the room. They stood there motionless like mummies. Every 8 hours, they would be replaced by another 4 people. Those who knew would think that a rich man lived inside, but those who didn't would think that it was the head of state. It was too grand. It was Huamin's first time seeing such a high-profile person. When she walked to the door, she had to be scanned as if she was a female killer. Go in. As soon as Huamin entered, he saw an unidentified flying object flying over. She reacted quickly and tilted her head to avoid being hit. Then the thing fell to the ground. It was a silver-gray 6S. Scram. So he was not in a good mood. After scolding his assistant on the phone, he said to the person who came in without looking at him. Huamin ignored him. He walked over, connected the 4-tube, and hung it up. I told you to scram. Didn't you hear me? What if all the patients tell us to leave? Who will take care of you? If you can take care of yourself, why are you here? Do you think a 5-star hotel is enough? Huamin said snappily. Suyu frowned slightly. It was the first time in his life that someone dared to speak to him with such an attitude. He wanted to see which nurse was so bold. Was she tired of living? Or was she trying to play hard to get? When he turned around and saw Huamin's face, he was stunned. He had seen her before. In his WeChat moments and on TV, it was exposed a while ago. Aren't you the nurse who performs C-sections for pregnant women? Suyu stared at Huamin and asked, That's right. Why are you here? Suyu was surprised. Huamin did not answer. While he was in a daze, she grabbed his left hand and inserted the needle. By the time Suyu felt a slight sting, she was done. Who told you to give me the 4? Suyu was furious. Don't move. It's not good if the needle rolls, Huamin reminded him. Take it away. I don't want an injection. Suyu impatiently reached out to pull out the needle. Then Huamin crossed her arms and looked at him. If you're not afraid they'll give you another injection, go ahead and pull it out. I'm not the one who's in pain anyway. Suyu immediately stopped. He raised his head and looked at Huamin with a sullen face. Stupid girl, do you know who you're talking to? Chapter 193. Huamin ignored him and took out a ballpoint pen from the pocket of his white lab coat. He held the medical record in his hand and said, Mr. Suyu, right? Get 2 bottles tonight, and I'll draw your blood tomorrow morning. You have to be on an empty stomach, so don't eat anything after 8 p.m. You can drink water. After he finished speaking, Huamin walked out. Damn it, get back here. Before Suyu could finish his sentence, Huamin had already opened the door and left. This was the first time in his life that someone treated his words like farts. No matter what he said or how angry he got, Huamin completely ignored his existence. Are you guys dead yet? Get your ass in here. Suyu's face was filled with rage. One of the bodyguards immediately ran in. Young master, what's the matter? Are you blind? Pick up the phone on the floor. I want to make a complaint. The quality of the nurses in this hospital is too low. Okay. The bodyguard bent down to pick up the phone and handed it to Suyu. Suyu picked it up and saw that the screen was broken. He couldn't make a call. Where's your phone? Give it to me. My phone is charging, the bodyguard replied honestly. Get out, get out. Seeing these idiots, Suyu was even more annoyed. After Huamin walked out unscathed, the head nurse and the 2 young nurses were surprised. Huamin, are you okay? I'm fine. Huamin shook his head. Young Master Su. Didn't get angry? I didn't pay attention to his condition. I was only in charge of the 4 drip. Did he get angry? Tingting asked tentatively. Huamin shook his head. I'm not sure. I didn't pay attention. Not bad, well done. The head nurse patted Hua Min's shoulder. Head nurse, I'll go back first. I'll come back tomorrow morning to draw his blood. All right, go back. Be careful. After Hua Min left, Tingting thought that Suyu had calmed down a lot, so she pulled down the collar of her nurse uniform. Then, she wiggled her butt and walked in again to deliver dinner. In less than a minute, he was once again thrown out by Suyu. The food was scattered all over the floor. Suyu was angry. Why were the nurses so stupid? He couldn't even do such a small thing. That idiot who drew his blood in the morning, he only stared at his arm. The nurse was so frightened that her hand trembled. It hurt so much that she couldn't bear it. Everyone said that he was angry, but the nurse who had just inserted the needle, her technique was not bad. She only felt a little pain after inserting the needle. News of Suyu throwing a tantrum and overturning the dishes spread. In less than half an hour, Lady Sue brought the maid to deliver the food. She was afraid that her son would be wronged, so she scolded the head nurse again. Song Lin scolded her so much that she didn't dare to say a word. After Mrs. Sue left, many women came to visit him one after another. There were famous models and actresses. There were socialites and even famous hosts from satellite TV. Without a doubt, they were all here to see Su Yu. Everyone brought food. Some of it was made by themselves, while others specially ordered food from Su Yu's favorite restaurants. Their methods of fighting for favor were shocking. When Huamin returned home, Qin Chu hadn't eaten yet. He was sitting on the sofa, watching the financial news. "Why aren't you eating? Let's eat together." Huamin felt a warmth in his heart. He took off his jacket, washed his hands, and the two sat at the dining table. "How was work today?" Qin Chu asked casually. "Pretty good, but I heard that the Southside Recuperation Center isn't easy. Many nurses get injured for no reason." It seemed like nothing could escape Qin Chu's eyes. Those are just accidents. Take care of yourself." "I know. After all, you put a lot of protection on me," Huamin added. Qin Chu couldn't help but smile. "It's good that you know. You're busy at work too. Don't worry about me. I'm an adult. I'll be fine." "Do you think I'll believe your bullshit?" Qin Chu didn't believe that Huamin would take good care of himself. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been blackmailed and blackmailed. If Qin Chu hadn't stopped him, who knew what would have happened to him? Okay. Huamin knew that he wasn't persuasive enough. "Oh yeah, buy your brother a car. I heard he likes cars," Qin Chu said casually. Chapter 194. Why do you want to buy him a car all of a sudden? Doesn't he like cars? What is he like? He's still a kid. He's still in school. He can't be high profile. Huamin refused immediately. "You could buy a low-key local brand." "No, that won't do either." Huamin didn't know that Qin Chu had overheard the conversation between Zhu Lingling and Huamin during dinner yesterday. Qin Chu knew that Huamin hated her brother, so he suddenly wanted to do something for him. However, seeing that Huamin was so insistent, Qin Chu didn't say anything else. After taking a shower, the two of them went to bed. Ever since Qin Chu didn't succeed that day, he was so angry that he had been lying on Huamin's bed. He slept like this for a few days. Occasionally, he would even take advantage of her. It was a blessing in disguise. "Qin Chu, can you stop touching me?" Huamin was burning with anxiety. Qin Chu's hand was originally on her waist, but sometimes it would inadvertently move up. She was so scared that she didn't dare to move. "I can't eat you, but I can't touch you?" Qin Chu suddenly felt wronged. Huamin's face instantly turned red. She didn't want to talk about such a dirty topic with him anymore. Then, Qin Chu hugged her from behind and slept like that. Qin Chu's sleep quality was actually very poor. During the 7 years in America, it was probably because he missed Huamin. Therefore, he had always been a light sleeper. He would wake up with even the slightest sound. After returning to China, it was the same. He would often wake up in the middle of the night and smoke a few cigarettes before he could sleep. However, after sleeping with Huamin, he could actually fall into a deep sleep. This was because when he smelled Huamin's body fragrance, he would feel extremely safe and peaceful. Even if the whole world were to collapse, he would not be willing to wake up. In the morning, they went to work separately. Huamin drove the car very steadily, afraid that he would accidentally graze the car. After arriving at the hospital, she quickly changed her clothes and prepared to draw the blood of the patient in room 1. "Huamin, you must be careful," the head nurse reminded him. Huamin nodded and entered the ward with the blood-drawing tools. Su was in the middle of a video conference. He leaned against the bed and looked at the other end of the video with a serious expression. Huamin walked over and picked up Suyu's arm. Suddenly, Suyu pulled his arm back. "Who told you to touch me? I told you yesterday that I would draw blood today. Get out." "I don't smoke," Suyu said coldly. "Okay, you don't have to smoke. At worst, you'll just have to stay here for another month." "Wait, come back here." Suyu put down his laptop and shouted when he saw that Huamin was about to leave. Huamin stopped in his tracks and turned around. "What did you mean by that?" "It's obvious." You're not cooperating with the treatment, so you'll definitely recover slower than others. It doesn't matter. I'm not the one staying here. Your family is rich, so you can stay." When Suyu heard this, he immediately became angry. He thought for a moment and ordered coldly, "Come here and draw my blood." Huan Mion's lips curled up as she slowly walked over. "You better be careful. If I prick you wrong, you'll end up like that nurse. It's not bad. I heard that she got $1 million in compensation. Why don't you give me $1 million in compensation as well? I promise that I'll prick you more than her." "You?" For the first time, Suyu was so angry that he was speechless. Why are you angry? Did I say something wrong? He pricked you, and you still gave him one. For $1 million. Aren't you just looking for trouble with money? Stupid girl. You'll regret it if you offend me," Suyu warned. "Did anyone tell you that it's best not to make enemies with medical staff, especially when you're in hospital? If I accidentally cause a medical accident, you'll be in big trouble. Do you dare? You'll die an embarrassing death if that happens. What does that matter? I'll drag you down with me. Plus, you're so rich, and I'm just a nurse." After speaking, Huamin pulled out the needle and pouted at Suyu. "Press it down, or else it'll bruise." For some reason, Suyu listened to her and pressed down on his needle. "Do you believe that I can kick you out of the hospital immediately? You can't even survive in Sea City anymore," Suyu said word by word as he looked at Huamin's back. Huamin turned around and smiled brightly. He asked, "Do your parents know that you're so childish?" Chapter 195. Without waiting for Suyu to say anything, Huamin turned around and left, leaving young Master Su alone in the room. What was this? Did someone provoke him? She actually dared to call him childish. What a damn woman. Was she tired of living? Is there anyone breathing outside? Get one of them in here. Suyu roared. Thus a bodyguard ran in. "Young master, what are your orders? Remember the nurse who just left?" "Yes." The bodyguard nodded. "Yes, remember her face. Don't let her come to my room in the future." "Yes, young master." Suyu pressed down on the needle. He was quite angry. He was famous for his hot temper in the circle. Since he was young, he had been the center of attention. Even his parents had never spoken loudly to him. Later on, the brothers he met also respected him and followed his lead. No matter what decision he made, no one dared to go against him. Later on, he met all kinds of women who wanted to kneel down and lick his boots. He knew that these people were forced by the power and prestige of the Su family. As the only son of the Su family, Suyu had become a rare treasure. Even his grandfather, who was the head of the military, doted on him. His grandfather once said, as long as you don't do anything that goes against humanity's bottom line, your grandfather will always support your decisions." When he was young, because of his unruly temper, he went to the army to gain experience. When he graduated with the best results and was about to be promoted to a regiment commander, he suddenly announced his retirement. After his retirement, he said that he wanted to start a company for fun. However, he didn't want to be the family's bank. Thus, his father gave him 500 million yuan. In just 5 years, Imperial Star Entertainment rapidly rose in the domestic media industry and became an entertainment giant. The company produced countless stars. Last year, they even spent 80 million yuan to sign the popular movie queen, Annie Leong. Imperial Star Entertainment's stock price also soared. Now, their quarterly profits reached 1 billion yuan. The movies they invested in also became box office legends. One had to admit that Suyu had a great business mind. The entire Su family also spoiled this ancestor. As for the women around him, it was as if he was looking at flowers on horseback. Every month, he would change a few women. From movie stars to young models, from socialites to hosts, there were women from all walks of life. None of them did not want to rise to the top. A young lady of the Su family didn't even dare to think about her position. She only wanted to be his lover so that she could enjoy endless glory and wealth. It was said that young Master Su was very generous. He always said that problems that could be solved with money were not problems at all. No matter what, I'll just throw money at you until you're blinded. On the second day after he entered the South Side Recuperation Center, he was tormented by an unknown nurse. So you couldn't take it anymore. He ordered the bodyguards to watch over Hua Min and forbade him from entering the room. After Hua Min successfully drew Su Yu's blood, he went to room 2 to take care of the old man. The old man's complexion was quite good. He sat on the bed alone and played chess. Hua Min smiled. "Sir, aren't you bored being alone?" "I can't help it if I'm bored. Young people like you don't know these things. You only know about online games and mobile games. My grandson is always at home playing Plants vs. Zombies on his phone." "Haha, it's Plants vs. Zombies." Hua Min laughed. He thought that the old man was too cute. Who knows what kind of zombies they are? Anyway, since the advancement of technology, these traditional things have been gradually eliminated. The old man sighed slightly. Hua Min walked over and looked at the layout and direction of the chess. He picked up a horse and jumped. The old man looked up and was surprised. "You know how to play chess?" "Just a little." Hua Min chuckled. "Come, child, sit down and play a few rounds." The old man was in high spirits. Hua Min did not stand on ceremony. He sat opposite the old man and played chess seriously. After 3 rounds, the old man's face was gloomy. "Child, you're not telling the truth. How was this just a little? You're clearly an expert in chess." Hua Min won 2 out of the 3 rounds. The last round was a draw because Hua Min saved the old man's face. The old man had lived for a long time, so how could he not see this? Hua Min smiled embarrassedly. In fact, she was not an expert. It was Uncle Jing who taught Jixin when he was young. She watched for a few days and then inexplicably learned it. She had not played it in all these years, but now she found the feeling. Come. That didn't count. Let's continue." The old man seemed to be addicted and refused to give up. At this moment, the head nurse knocked on the door. "Hua Min, come out for a moment." Chapter 196. Okay. Hua Min slowly got up. "Sir, I'm going out for a bit. You'll be taking your afternoon nap soon. Don't forget to take the blood pressure medicine before you sleep." "Got it. Come back in the afternoon if you're free. We'll continue to play." The old man was full of anticipation like a child. Hua Min smiled gently. "Okay." After walking out the door, Hua Min saw that the head nurse's expression was not right. "What's wrong, head nurse?" When Ting Ting went to young Master Su's room to clean up, she heard the bodyguard say that young Master Su ordered that you're not allowed to step into the room. There's an 4 drip at night. If you don't go in, I'm really worried that Ting Ting will mess it up. Xiao Mei already made a mistake. If we make young Master Su unhappy, we'll all be fired. "Oh, so that's what it's about." Hua Min was extremely calm. "Isn't this a big deal? This concerns the fate of our careers. Hua Min, do you know? I've been working here since I was 28, and I'm 34 this year. It took me 6 years to become a head nurse. My monthly allowance is about 40,000 yuan, and I still have to pay off my mortgage and car loan. I also have a baby to raise. I can't live without this job." Song Lin was right. She was not complaining about being poor. To her, this job was very important. Although she did not dress well, she had a good reputation in the hospital. She did not get involved with the patients too much. Most importantly, Song Lin was already married and had a child. Her husband was just an ordinary employee. Her daughter was born prematurely and had poor health, so they spent a lot of money. It was not easy for her to raise a family alone. Hua Min had heard Ting Ting mention it before. Therefore, he did not doubt the authenticity of this matter. "Don't worry, head nurse. I won't let him find a chance to fire us. But you can't even get in the 4 drip. Ting Ting and Nan Nan can't do it. I know them too well. The head nurse had been working here for 4 years and had seen all kinds of big shots. Most of the patients would be fine as long as the nurse acted coquettishly and said a few nice words. However, this young Master Su was too hard to please. He didn't care about these things at all. "Well, I'll think of something. You don't have to worry about it," Hua Min said confidently. Although Hua Min had repeatedly assured her, the head nurse was still unsure. She was in a daze the entire afternoon and felt uneasy. When it was time for the night shift, Ting Ting got off work. Before she got off work, she deliberately reminded him, "Don't mess up the infusion at night." "I know." Hua Min nodded. At 6 o'clock in the evening, Hua Min carried the infusion equipment to Ward 1. "Stop, you can't go in." "Why?" Hua Min asked. Young master said that you can't take a single step into this room in the future, the 4 bodyguards said in unison. Huamin scanned their old-fashioned faces and said, "It's fine if you don't let me in, but if your young master doesn't get treatment in time, his recovery time will be prolonged. If his condition is delayed, the higher-ups will blame me. I will say that you guys stopped me from giving him the 4 drip. Then you can ask someone else to do it." Young master said that you can't go in. The bodyguard said stubbornly, "If someone else could do it well, would I still be needed? Do you think I want to do it? It's not like you guys know how bad your young master's temper is. The other nurses don't dare to come. They're all afraid of angering your young master. I, on the other hand, am confident in my skills. So, if you guys continue to delay, no matter what happens in the end, you guys will have to bear the consequences." After Hua Min finished speaking, the 4 bodyguards looked at each other and seemed to be wavering. "Get out of the way, I'm going in. Otherwise, if I miss the time to administer the medicine, will you guys be responsible?" After saying that, Huamin pushed the door open and went in without waiting for the bodyguards to say anything. He brainwashed the bodyguards with just a few words. Their IQ was really high, so you had a mini monitor inside. It was a surveillance camera, so he could see everything outside. He thought that Huamin would retreat after being chased away at the door. He didn't expect that he would be able to convince the bodyguards with just a few words, which really surprised him. When Huamin walked in, Su turned off the surveillance camera outside. "Raise your hand and insert the needle." Huamin couldn't be bothered to say another word. Su stared at Huamin. "You're so eloquent and good at persuasion. It's really a waste of your talent if you don't become an MLM lecturer. Can I take it that you're praising me as a genius?" Huamin looked at him and asked. Chapter 197. I can't be considered a genius. I can only say that my bodyguards are as stupid as pigs. Huamin chuckled. Su saw the small dimples on her cheeks when she smiled. She was very cute. Unlike the women outside, their smiles were very pretentious. They would either cover their mouths and pretend to be reserved, or they would smile slightly and pose for photos. There were very few people who smiled naturally and beautifully like her. Huamin did not say anything else. After the 4 was hooked up, he prepared to insert the needle. "I say, I spent so much money here to suffer. Can't you give me a retention needle? Do you want me to die from the pain?" Su reprimanded with a cold expression. Huamin raised his head to look at her and said in an extremely serious tone, "That's why people like you who don't understand common sense are really scary. Retention needles are indeed convenient and can avoid the pain of repeated insertion. However, because the retention time is too long, it can easily cause bacterial infections and cause considerable damage to the blood vessels. Under normal circumstances, unless the baby is moving around and is afraid of the needle sticking, we don't recommend it unless it's a last resort." "Seems like you're quite professional," Su muttered to herself. "Nonsense. If I'm not professional, would I be sent here to give you an 4? Do you think this is a good thing? Do you think I want to do this?" Huamin had already inserted the needle as he spoke. It was always done when Su was not paying attention. Actually, it was not that painful. It was just like being bitten by a mosquito. Most importantly, young Master Su was too pretentious. Because he could not go out to eat, drink, and have fun, he was always looking for trouble in the recuperation area. "From what you're saying, it sounds like you don't want to take care of me." "Of course," Huamin said as he raised his head to observe the flow of the 4. "Do you know that if you take care of me, you'll get an extra 2,000 yuan a day as a tip?" Su asked. Huamin was startled and shook his head. "I don't know about that." Now she finally understood why everyone was fighting to be in the first ward. Not only could they be close to young Master Su, but they could also get an extra 2,000 yuan a day. It was really cool. "What about now? Do you want to come?" "No." Su thought that Huamin would take the initiative to beg him to come here. "Why?" "Because taking care of you is very boring. The old man in the ward next door is better. You can play chess and drink tea with him. Well, you're basically fine. When the needle is removed, another nurse will come. Try not to sleep during this time and observe your infusion volume." After that, Huamin put his hands in the pockets of his lab coat and swaggered out. Suyu was left with a conflicted expression. How could there be such an annoying woman in this world? He really didn't know how to appreciate favors. She actually said that taking care of him was not as good as taking care of the uncle next door. Tomorrow, he would ask around and find out what kind of uncle lived next door. He should drive him away. Huomin was on the day shift for the first week, so he could go home on time after work. Xiaomei was hospitalized because of an accident, so her job was temporarily taken over by the head nurse. When Huomin got off work, he met the nurse from another shift, Nan Nan. She drove a white BMW X3, which was quite cool for a girl to drive. She glanced at Huomin's car and laughed. This car is not very cheap. Why didn't you buy a brand? Not many people know about Volkswagen cars. Ah, this is my family's car. I didn't buy it. Huomin explained. Nanan didn't say anything. She slowly reversed the car and drove toward the front door. Because of the traffic jam during rush hour, Huomin got home at 6:30. Qin Chu hadn't come back yet, so the house was relatively quiet. She opened the fridge and sadly found that there were only bread and milk inside. There were no vegetables that could be cooked. Just as she was about to go to the supermarket, she received a call from Qin Chu. Change into something more formal. I'll pick you up at the door in 10 minutes. After that, he didn't wait for Huomin to ask anything and hung up. Huomin suddenly thought, change into something more formal? What day was it today? Chapter 198. After hesitating for a minute, Huomin went upstairs and opened the wardrobe. She didn't know when, but there were a lot of new clothes inside. The strange thing was that Qin Chu never told her these things. After looking around, Huomin finally chose a rose dress from Dolce & Gabbana's new summer collection. After thinking about it, she decided to put on light makeup to match it. She only wore a pair of white heels. When she looked in the mirror, Huomin felt much more pleasing to the eye. Maybe it was because she was used to going barefaced, but when she put on makeup occasionally, she felt that it was quite pleasing to the eye. Qin Chu was very punctual. He said that he would be there in 10 minutes, and he didn't miss a minute. When Huomin arrived downstairs, Qin Chu's car also arrived. When he saw Huomin through the car window, he was stunned. His wife didn't usually dress up, but when she did, she didn't lose to those actresses and young models at all. Huomin even had a unique aura that ordinary people didn't have. In the passenger seat, Huomin asked nervously, "Where are we going now?" "To eat." What day is it today?" Huomin suddenly asked. Qin Chu turned his head to look at her. In the end, he seemed to be slightly disappointed. "No." After that, the two stopped talking. At the revolving restaurant on the top floor of the Pullman Hotel. This place overlooked the night view of the entire city. It was said that the chef used to be the head chef of a Michelin restaurant and was very good at cooking Western food and desserts. Moreover, it was very difficult to book a table here. Every night, only 6 tables were served, and each table was limited to 2 people. Qin Chu and Huomin sat at the best table for the night view. The atmosphere in the restaurant was especially romantic. Roses were arranged in every corner, and there was a handsome foreign man playing the violin live. "It's so beautiful here. I just realized that there's such a beautiful place in Sea City." Huomin sighed. At this moment, Qin Chu took out a small brocade box and pushed it onto the table. "This is for you." "What?" "Open it and you'll know." Qin Chu was deliberately mystifying. Huomin picked up the brocade box and slowly opened it. Inside lay a diamond ring. "Is this the proposal?" Huomin looked up at Qin Chu when he saw the diamond ring. "No, I just think that she suits you very well." Huomin took out the ring and put it on her finger. It was very beautiful. Not to mention the size, the most important thing was that she liked the design of the diamond. It was very small, not ostentatious, and not tacky. She liked it very much. Qin Chu knew her personality too well. That was why he gave her a gift. He didn't give her a pigeon egg to show off his wealth. "It's very beautiful." "Thank you." After Huomin put it on, he couldn't bear to put it down. He looked left and right again. Qin Chu smiled. It seemed that his efforts were not in vain. This diamond was designed by him. The diamond was also personally selected by him. He took it abroad for processing and finally flew it back. The total cost was no less than $3 million. Of course, Huamin didn't know the details. She thought that it was an ordinary diamond ring that cost $10,000 or $20,000 on the market. At this time, the waiter began to serve the dishes. There was medium-well steak, foie gras, caviar, and Australian lobster. There was also a bottle of red wine that looked expensive. Huamin thought in his heart. Today was not his birthday, nor was it Qin Shu's birthday. But the atmosphere was Qin Shu was silent. He poured 2 glasses of red wine and handed one to Huamin. Then he picked up his glass and said, "Happy anniversary." Huamin was stunned. Anniversary? Although he suddenly thought of something, he felt a little ashamed. "Sorry, I forgot that today is the 100th anniversary of our marriage." That's right. When they got their marriage certificate, it was still early summer. Now, it was already the end of summer. More than 3 months had passed. It's okay, as long as I remember. Qin Shu raised his glass and took a small sip. Huamin also picked up her glass and took a small sip. On such a special day, with a special person, coming to such a beautiful restaurant together. This scene was unforgettable. "You even prepared a gift for me." "I don't have anything for you." Huamin was a little embarrassed. If she had known, she would have bought him a gift. "If you really want to give me a gift, why don't you give me a kiss or something?" "I think I'd be happy to do that," Qin Shu said in all seriousness. Huamin's face turned slightly red. However, she still got up gracefully, walked to Qin Shu's side, and kissed him on the cheek. Just as she was about to kiss him, Qin Shu quickly turned his face and licked Huamin's lips. Then, Huamin was confused. What is Qin Shu doing? Chapter 199. Without time to think, Huamin immediately ran back to her seat and pretended to eat as if nothing had happened. She didn't even dare to look up as she dug into her ice cream spoon by spoon. Qin Shu looked at her awkward expression and smiled slightly, his eyes filled with endless gentleness. When they got home, the two showered and were about to go to bed when Qin Shu received a call. "I'm going out for a bit. You sleep first." "What's wrong?" Huamin asked worriedly, as she could tell it was something urgent. "My dad's high blood pressure is acting up and he's in the hospital." "Is it serious?" "I don't know yet. I'll go check on him." "You sleep first." After speaking, Qin Shu put on his jacket and left. Huamin actually wanted to say that she would go with him, but when she thought about her relationship with Qin Shu's parents, she swallowed her words. The strange thing was, she suddenly couldn't fall asleep when Qin Shu wasn't home. Maybe she was used to having him by her side, so she couldn't sleep when she was suddenly alone. That's why, sometimes, habit is a scary thing. There were some things that you didn't need to worry about not getting, but losing them again after getting them. Huamin didn't sleep well that night. When she woke up in the morning, she realized that Qin Shu wasn't home yet. She thought for a moment and sent him a WeChat message. "How's your dad?" "He's fine. His blood pressure dropped, and he's home now. I have to go to the company for an early meeting. Remember to eat breakfast." "Okay." After replying, Huamin sighed, drank a glass of milk, and left. On the way, she accidentally turned on the radio in her car and heard a piece of gossip news. According to a media report, the popular costume actress Luo Feifei was on a date with the heir of GK at the Pullman Penthouse restaurant yesterday. The media took pictures of the scene, and it's rumored that Luo Feifei is the spokesperson for a female shoe brand under GK. Therefore, everyone is guessing that Luo Feifei took advantage of work to hook up with the heir of GK. According to the restaurant's employees, the two had a sweet dinner at the restaurant, and their relationship has been exposed. When Huamin heard this, she was amused. When did she become the actress Luo Feifei? Could it be that they look alike? She took out her phone and searched for information on Baidu. She realized that she looked completely different from herself. She really didn't know what the media was thinking. However, what Huamin didn't know was that actress Luo Feifei did go to Pullman for dinner last night, but she didn't go with Qin Shu. Instead, she went with her assistant. However, the media loved to make groundless accusations. When they saw Qin Shu's car parked in front of the hotel, plus the fact that Luo Feifei was GK's new spokesperson, a series of assumptions and conjectures arose. Huamin couldn't be bothered with the messy news and drove to the sanatorium. After Chu came out of the company's conference room, he was a little tired. Last night, he went to the hospital to take care of his father. He stayed with him all night and sent him home in the morning. He hadn't slept the entire night, so his mental state wasn't very good. "Boss, coffee." Little Yang immediately handed it over. Chu took it and slowly took a sip. "Boss, did you read today's newspaper?" "Not yet." "Why?" You'll know when you see it." Chu picked up the morning paper and glanced at it. The big entertainment section read, "Actress Luo Feifei's late-night rendezvous with GK's prince. Relationship suspected to be exposed." After reading the news, Chu's face darkened. "So, boss, did you really go to Pullman for dinner last night?" Little Yang asked anxiously because he saw that the Maybach in the photo really did belong to the president. Could it be that the president had started to date actresses? "Yes, I did go to Pullman." "So?" Little Yang looked at the president nervously, thinking that he was going to admit to their relationship. "So, who the hell is this Luo Feifei?" Chu asked with a dark expression. Chapter 200. President Qin, you don't know Luo Feifei? She's in a fantasy drama called Investiture of the Gods. She's the female lead, Su Daji. I've never seen it, so I don't know. Okay, you win. Assistant Yang thought that even if the president didn't watch TV series, the media would report on Luo Feifei every day. The streets and alleys were filled with publicity photos of this woman. It was hard not to recognize her. Therefore, his boss was an alien and not an earthling at all. On the other side, Luo Feifei was about to attend a press conference. Once the scandal was exposed, it became even more popular. Many reporters blocked the entrance, waiting for an interview. Her manager asked carefully, "Feifei, did our studio make the headlines today?" "Of course not." "Oh, I thought our team planned it." "That's good news. You're on Weibo's hot search list now. You can use the press conference to promote your movie that will be released next month. Do your best." Luo Feifei looked at herself in the mirror and smiled. She didn't expect this scandal. She asked her assistant to make a reservation at Pullman a month in advance. She didn't expect the Prince of GK to be there last night. She regretted that she didn't recognize him. She wanted to use this opportunity to get close to him. The media always liked to make groundless accusations, but it was good. He could be considered her main force. Maybe she could use this opportunity to get close to the Prince of GK. Marrying into a rich family was every actress's ultimate dream. In front of the camera, Luo Feifei smiled sweetly and answered every reporter's question enthusiastically. Finally, a reporter asked, "Miss Luo Feifei, can you tell us about your dinner with the Prince of GK last night? Did you guys announce your relationship?" Luo Feifei was a bit shy. "It's not convenient for me to reveal that right now, but I'll share good news with everyone." Luo Feifei's answer was vague, which increased the attention on this matter. Another reporter asked, "I heard that you're the new spokesperson for GK's OWQ women's shoe brand. Did you accept this job because you're a couple with GK's heir, or did you become a couple with President Qin after your sister started working?" "Sorry, everyone. Please ask about the movie that will be released next month." "Thank you." The agent stepped forward to block the questions. Luo Feifei was doing this because she wanted to rise to the top and take the opportunity to hype up her popularity. She thought she was young and pretty, so even if President Qin of GK saw the news, he wouldn't blame her. Maybe he could even take the initiative to ask her out for a meal or something. In short, Luo Feifei thought things through too perfectly. After the interview was broadcasted, it received more than 10 million views. Many people were interested in the mysterious heir of GK. In particular, the scandal with Luo Feifei increased everyone's attention. On that day, GK's stock market skyrocketed. After Mother Qin finished watching the movie at home, she couldn't sit still anymore. She immediately called her son. Unexpectedly, he couldn't get through. Qin Shu had already transferred the call to voicemail because there were too many people harassing him. Even Gao Ran sent a WeChat message to Qin Shu. Bro, what's your situation? Aren't you afraid that Huamin will make you kneel on a durian when you get home? In fact, Huamin was already aware of it, but she knew the truth, so she didn't care at all. GK Design Department. After Jiang Linyue saw the news, her face turned gloomy. Director, do you think our president is really dating Luo Feifei? Luo Feifei is a piece of trash. How could she be good enough for our president? She must be dreaming. Let me tell you, there are no women in the entertainment industry who are clean. Our president is a germaphobe, and he hates her for being dirty. Jiang Linyue was too infatuated with Qin Shu, so she already knew all about his habits. All these years, she endured loneliness and protected her virginity, all for the sake of one glance from Qin Shu. Inside the president's office, "Sir, this is a big deal. Should we ask the PR department to send a response?" Assistant Yang asked carefully. Chapter 201. Why should I respond to something like this? But Miss Luo Feifei is the new spokesperson for our women's shoes. Yang looked like he was about to cry. The chairman's wife couldn't find the president and kept calling him. He didn't know how to respond. This morning, President Qin said that he didn't know Miss Luo Feifei. However, Miss Luo Feifei had just been interviewed, and her words were ambiguous. Who would believe that nothing had happened between them? With so many reporters crowding around GK, it wouldn't be right if he didn't respond. Yang's words finally caught Qin Chu's attention. He looked up and frowned slightly. "You're saying that she's the spokesperson for our company?" "Yeah." "Who decided?" Qin Chu asked unhappily. "The board of directors unanimously agreed to it." "Oh, right. You were on a business trip, so the old chairman made the decision. Miss Luo Feifei is quite popular, and the price is reasonable, so we signed a 1-year contract. Tell the marketing department to immediately remove her from the position and replace her with someone else." Replace who? "Anyone is fine. But sir, we have to pay a penalty for breaching the contract," Yang said awkwardly. "Do you think I'm short of money?" Qin Chu asked back. No. That's not what I meant. I just wanted to say, what are you waiting for?" Qin Chu's face darkened. Yang ran all the way to the marketing department and gave the order. The finance department immediately prepared the penalty for breaching the contract, and the team of lawyers rewrote the contract to minimize the losses. The PR department also sent out a letter announcing that GK had removed Miss Luo Feifei from the company. The news caused another uproar. "Feifei, bad news. GK has breached the contract and you're no longer the spokesperson." Her manager rushed into the makeup room. Luo Feifei stood up immediately. "What did you say?" "They want to replace you." "Why?" Luo Feifei's face looked terrible. "I don't know the details, but the company called me and told me that they're willing to pay the penalty, but they don't want you as their spokesperson. You know how popular that car is. Anyone who endorses it will become more famous. We can't believe we missed such an opportunity. I don't want compensation. I don't need money. I want to be GK's spokesperson," Luo Feifei said stubbornly. "Even if you tell me, I can't do anything about it." "I'm guessing that what you said at the press conference this morning offended President Qin." "That can't be." Luo Feifei was unsure. "Also, I heard that." The agent hesitated. "Heard what?" "I heard that their president banned you from endorsing any of GK's products." When Luo Feifei heard this, she fell onto the chair behind her, dumbfounded. "No, Ms. Lu, help me think of a way. Can you contact President Qin? I need to personally explain and apologize to him. I can't lose this opportunity to be GK's spokesperson." All the top actresses in the country are endorsing GK. I can't lose this great opportunity. If I really get blacklisted, my future will be very difficult, Luo Feifei said with a trembling voice as she realized how serious the situation was. Her eyes were red. The manager was a little angry. He thought to himself, if I had known this would happen, I wouldn't have acted so pretentiously and acquiesced in their relationship. Now that I've angered the big boss, I know how to cry. I'll try, but I don't have much hope. I heard that GK's president is very cold and unapproachable. Qin Chu was busy all morning. When he was having lunch at the cafeteria, the director of the public relations department walked in. She was a woman in her 40s, elegant and serious. She was an old employee of GK. President Sheen, Miss Luo Feifei's agent, just contacted me. She said that Miss Luo Feifei really wants to see you. Is it possible to make an appointment? No. Okay, President Sheen. After rejecting the appointment, Luo Feifei didn't give up. After work, she followed Qin Chu's car. At a traffic light intersection, Qin Chu slammed on the brakes. Luo Feifei's white Maserati couldn't dodge in time and crashed into him. You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.